This week's episode is sponsored by Change. Change is the #1 mentoring programme that teaches you e-commerce from scratch. Change has a real community with real results. I have been working with Ryan for many years now and have attended many of his events and retreats across the world and got to meet members and the amazing community of like-minded people. Ryan works with a lot of big names in the business world, helping them build online businesses and e-commerce. Change offers personal one-on-one support, no experience needed, but like anything, this takes time and is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you put the work in, you will get the results. E-commerce and online shopping is getting bigger and bigger. This is a great opportunity for anyone that is looking for financial freedom. For more information, go follow Ryan on Instagram at RyanJB, and he will guide you through the steps to help you get started and build a successful online business. You can now follow me on all my social media platforms to find out who my latest guest will be. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you're notified for when my next podcast goes live. And boom, we're on. And today's guest, we've got Molly Simpson. Molly, how are we?
I am very well. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. I seen you on my very good friends podcast, Tony Morell, The Good, The Bad, The Ugly.
Yes.
For people, go and check it out. Good friend of mine, great guy, great podcast.
Yes.
Very fascinating story.
Mm-hmm.
You say you're a witch.
I am.
You're involved in a satanic program, a satanic club that you call it.
I call it the club, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of death threats, a lot of madness.
Photographs, messages, all kinds of stuff.
And now here we are.
Here we are. Hopefully I don't die.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't, don't be saying that shit. But before we get into all the madness though, I always like to go back to the start of my guests.
Okay.
Get more of a bit of understanding about you, Molly, where you grew up and how it all began.
So I didn't have a great childhood, me. My mum was a drug addict, very abusive relationship with my stepfather. I was treated very differently to my brother. My brother had quite a well-to-do dad. So he looked after him, basically, and my mum knew she couldn't do anything to him. So she took a lot of frustrations out on me. Really, we were beaten. I was drugged more than once, so she could party all night. Didn't really have birthdays, but I was quite lucky because my nan looked after me where she could. She couldn't take me to live with her because she already had one of my cousins whose parent was not great. So she did, she looked after me and she fed me and stuff like that. And I suppose she was my saving grace, really.
What were you like at school?
Bullied a lot. But I was always weird. I've always been the weird girl, you know what I mean? I thought I was a horse for the first 10 years of my life, that sort of stuff. Obviously, growing up, we didn't have make trainers. Well, I didn't, my brother did. So I was always the target. I was always dirty. You know, collars on my shirt, school uniforms, filthy, because she was just off a barner 24/7.
No relationship with your mum whatsoever?
Not anymore, no. A couple of years ago, she made false allegations against me where I lost everything. I lost my house, everything that I'd worked for. And I've never had any contact with her since, to the point where I've had to block people who live next door to her just in case she gets information, because she's dangerous. She will just make random accusations.
So what was it like going through school then, getting bullied?
Yeah. It made me funny. You know, it gave me a sense of humour, but at the same time, it wasn't great. And I think as well, as a child, you develop this sort of like mask and you're like, it doesn't bother me and I'm fine. And, you know, you make fun of it and stuff like that. But it wasn't great. I ended up leaving school in year 9 because it got that bad. I just used to get up and take me ride and stuff. I had a pony at the time. And I got changed in an entry behind the shop and I'd just get the bus or I'd walk to the farm and play with my horses all day. I did go back and do my A-levels, I got a degree. But obviously I took the hard route.
So when you say you thought you were a horse for 10 years, is that like an escape to be something else because you didn't like the life you were in?
Pretty much, yeah. It was like a fantasy. So I'd always loved horses. My nan took me horse riding now and again. So it's one of them things, every little bit of like work I'd do in school. Every drawing would be, you know, horses this, horses that. And I became obsessed with it because it was my escape.
So what happened after school?
So I left, I went back to college, got some more qualifications, and I ended up working in a restaurant not far from here. And I ended up in a relationship with my mum's drug dealer.
As you do.
As you do. And I ended up getting pregnant pretty young. I was 19 when I had my first child.
How old was he?
30.
Yeah, it's a bit old, isn't it?
It's a bit old, yeah, I suppose. So, yeah. But that was a very, very abusive relationship. He wouldn't let me move. Couldn't do anything. I'd done a little bit of modelling just after I'd left school. But obviously once I got with him, that stopped. That was put an end to. Couldn't work, couldn't move, couldn't go out the house, couldn't open the blinds. Very, very paranoid fella. And then he started getting into a lot of trouble with the police. And I ended up leaving 2 weeks after I'd had my second child. And I ended up back in my mum's with a bin bag of stuff. And it was then I got very suicidal. I think because I'd grown up and I knew, like, I didn't want to give that life to them boys. You know, I brought them into the world. The least I could have done is created a foundation for them that was secure, and I couldn't do that, so I felt guilty. My mum was making me feel guilty, you know, so I became quite desperate in the end, and I tried to get back into the modelling, but I was being offered really, like, low-paid, shitty publications like the Daily Sport and stuff like that, and I just weren't willing to do it. I suppose it wasn't worth the money for me. If I was going to take my clothes off for money, it was going to be for good money. So after a while, I got that desperate, and I knew about magic. My mum had introduced me to magic when I was a kid. She'd done a ritual to save a dog that we had that involved killing a mouse that she got me to help her with when I was about 7, and it worked. So I thought, well, I'm at rock bottom. What can I do? I might as well try a bit of magic.
Tell me the story about the dog.
So my nana bought me a puppy, and it was a pretty expensive Lhasa Apso thing. And my mum wasn't great with animals. She just wouldn't feed them. She'd lose them. She'd sell them if she could to get money for drink, drugs, whatever. And it got ran over, and it had a broken spine in multiple places. And the vet said, look, it's going to cost thousands of pounds to do an operation on it. And she was with someone at the time that was a truck driver. So she was like, no, we'll pay. Because she knew my nan was going to kill her because of it. And the dog's supposed to go in for this operation one night, and she gets me out of bed in the middle of the night. And I was, 7? And she's done a pentagram on the living room floor, made out of a beaded curtain that we had back in the day, you know, the fly curtains. And she said, you've got to take clothes off. She was naked. She got me undressed. And I had to follow her and walk around the pentagram. And after a minute, she said some words. She took the mouse out the mop bucket and smacked it on the head with a rolling pin and killed it. Finished the ritual. I can't remember much after that because I was pretty horrified. And the day after, we get a phone call from the vet that the dog had, like, miraculously recovered. And I mean, the vet was gobsmacked. I remember being in the room, and she was like, we've never seen a recovery like this from such a major operation, never mind broken spine in multiple places. And my mum was there with, like, a cheesy grin. She thought it was great. Brought the dog home. And I suppose that's lived with me ever since, really. That was my first introduction to black magic, because that's not like magic.
Did you ever ask any questions growing up about that?
Not really, no. I mean, she always had tarot cards. She had a bottle of holy water. We'd gone to Glastonbury at some point on a bit of a camping trip, and I'd always had experiences with hearing voices. Like, everyone in the family thought I was absolutely mental because I'd always talk to this woman who was in my head, to the point where, like, it'd stop me getting battered. It'd say, like, don't go downstairs yet. I used to go downstairs and, like, try and steal something out the fridge or the cupboards, whatever was there. And it'd be like, don't go yet, I wouldn't. So it'd keep me safe in one way or another. And I suppose I'd had an experience in Glastonbury where I was playing with something. It must have been a spirit. And I'd said to my brother, like, come and play with us. Rose, her name was. Come and play with us. And it was like, there's no one there. And he's shouting to my mum, and my mum was taking drugs behind one of the gravestones. And she was like, yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. I can see it. I mean, she might have just been hallucinating with what she was taking. But I suppose that also made it normal. But I remember the times as well, going into school, we'd gone to Colomendy on a trip. And I must have been, God, in year 4 at this point, so 9. And I said, oh, my mum's a witch. And one of the teachers was like, yeah, so am I. I've got crystals and cards, and she was showing me the crystals. So I thought it was dead normal. Having a professional echo that back that, yeah, I'm one of them as well. Do you know what I mean?
Did your mum tell you she was a witch?
Yeah. She wasn't a very good one. She didn't practice unless she really had to. She'd read the cards now and again, or she'd douse us all in holy water, me in particular, when I was being naughty for whatever reason. But other than that, that's all she seemed to do. She'd do the odd little spells around the house. She'd smell smoke and stuff like that when we were in bed. But again, it's usually when she was drunk, she'd find something that she wanted to do. Does that make sense?
Did you take any drugs? Did your mum give you any drugs as a kid?
So when I was 16, she gave me my first bomb of speed. She wrapped it up in a skin and went, yeah, I'll take that. And my stepdad was living in Anfield at the time. We lived in Wilton, which is quite far. And she said, I'm jumping in a taxi. You walk. So I walked from Wilton to Anfield, obviously off my face at 16. But I think because I've got ADHD as well, I always reacted badly from uppers. So she'd give me my first bomb of speed, but obviously other mates and stuff, we were in the pleasure rooms at 13, having, do you want a line, do you want an ecstasy tablet and stuff like that, but they never agreed with me. Like, I'll be up for a week, not just a few hours off it. So I preferred downers, to be fair. I was not very big on drugs, never drank neither. Once I turned about 17, stopped drinking completely.
What did your friends say about hearing voices and seeing people?
Well, I didn't,
did you tell them?
As a child, not so much, no. Not so much. They were more bothered about picking on me because, like, I was obsessed with horses. So they used to call me, like, here's the horse girl. Like, that sort of stuff. Obviously, when I've got older, one of my childhood friends, I mean, I was quite a loner growing up anyway. But one of my friends that I grew up with, like, she's very not into it at all, very reality-based. And she was like, I think you're around the bends. So I suppose I kept it on the low, you know what I mean? It's not something I openly express myself about or told people until I've got a bit older.
So you're on your ass, you've got 2 kids. What's going through your mind then?
Well, I was suicidal. I was just like, I can't do this. And I had pressure off my mum. I had pressure, obviously, just from being a single parent. He was nowhere to be seen. He ended up going away for one reason or another. And I was at rock bottom, and I thought, I'll try some magic. So we did a bit of research, and I was looking on the internet at Anton LaVey and Alistair Crowley's sorts of types of magic, and I took excerpts of information, and I ended up setting a ritual up. It's basically a pentagram on the floor. I had to cut myself and put blood on the points and say these words, and they were English. So I do this ritual, goes to bed thinking I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to be fucking a star or something. Because I didn't ask what if a lot of people who do this type of stuff, who go into making pacts with demonics or the dark side, will be specific. And I wasn't. I just wanted money. I didn't care how it came. So on the thing that I just wrote, I just want money and love. And that was that. So I goes to bed, I wakes up, everything's normal and nothing changes. And I left it for about a month. And I was like, that hasn't worked. I haven't done it right. So it does more research. And I must have been researching God for about 6 months. And I found bits and bobs, did another ritual a few months later, and it didn't work again. And I was like, I'm obviously really, really crap at this, and I'm not doing it right. There was no doubt in my mind that it was possible. It was just that I wasn't doing it the right way. So after a while, I did one spare at the moment in the middle of the night in my house for whatever reason. I just wasn't feeling great, and I thought, fuck it, we'll try again. So I did, but this time something took over my body. And I started writing these symbols in a pentagram. Symbols that I couldn't write to you now. I couldn't tell you what they are or draw them. I've never seen them again ever since, apart from in a vision. And yeah, like I say, something takes over my body. I sliced my wrist completely. And I'm dotting the blood everywhere, and then I stand in the pentagram. And these words are coming out my mouth. It's a foreign language, something I've never understood. It was Latin, I know now, looking back. So I'm saying these words, and all of a sudden there's this, like, we had no doors in the house. They'd all been pulled off over the years and arguments and stuff like that. So we had this curtain over the door on the top floor. We had a 3-story townhouse type of thing. And this big gust of wind hits the curtain and blows in my face this ice cold, and I felt a presence in the pentagram with me. So I've shut my eyes, panicked, and I couldn't move. It was like frozen for a little minute, and then it jumped into bed, through the quilt over my head like a baby, like you would when you're scared when you're a kid. And I didn't move, couldn't breathe. And after a few hours, these bells started, but they were that loud. It was that you could feel it in your chest. And I'm thinking, surely everyone can hear that. There was a church in the village, but it's never that loud. It was like it was right next door to me. And the whole night, these bells are going on and on and on. I falls asleep at some point and I wakes up in the morning again. I'm like, I feel normal. Don't feel anything. And a couple of weeks, I was applying for this, that and the other, and I did want to get back into the modelling. It sends my portfolio off to a few agencies, always got a no or didn't reply. Because to be fair, I wanted to go into fashion, and I'm only 5'2". You know, I haven't got perfect skin. I'm probably not the body for it. But one day this email comes back and he's invited me for a casting. And I was like, oh my God, I've made it, type of thing. And I went, and they loved me. And I was like, wow, this is quite surreal. So they put me on the books, and I think it was about 3 weeks after that casting that I went to, I started hearing this thing with me talking to me. It's like a low, very low, growly voice, which was the demonic that I'd made the pact with. So I picked a very specific demonic to do it with called Belphegor. It's a demon of sloth and gluttony and stuff like that. And it's telling me its name and it's speaking to me, and I'm thinking I'm schizophrenic. I'm hearing voices, this is peculiar. But at the same time, I was like, maybe it's just because of what I've done. Maybe this is how it goes, type of thing. So I'm getting slow bits of work. I've got this thing in my ear. Now at this point as well, I'd always been able to hear other spirits, my own spirit guides, other people's passed on loved ones, my own passed on family, and it got shut off. And I couldn't hear nothing at all. And that was quite freaky. So I'd gone from hearing all these lovely things and lovely messages like you're safe and blah, 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 to this thing screaming at me. And I think at some point as well, I would be able to tap into the demonic realm and you'd hear these screams in your head 24/7 to the point where it's hard to concentrate on what you're doing. So yeah, carries on with that agency for a few months. And after a while, I was thinking like it's quite slow. I was getting well paid work and it was good. But I was like, it's quite slow. And I ended up being introduced to an agent, like a freelance agent. And he was all over me at a party. He knew someone that I knew. And I hated them. I didn't like him. Big, egotistical, fucking big I am. You know what I mean? Thought he was great. So I was dead like opposed to him. And he gave me a business card to come out the toilet. And he was like, I can help you. In fact, I think I can get you a lot of well-paid work. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. Takes the business card and I thought nothing of it. And the work started drying up from this agency and I was like, I'm getting a bit desperate. I've got bills to pay. So I sent him a message and he was like, yeah, if you let me come and take some photos of you, I've got a private buyer who'll buy them off you. And I was like, okay, what's your commission? And I'm not taking none. And I was like, okay. So it goes, does the shoots. He made me a fair bit of money off the photos. And it was not a mess, it was modelling tights. And I didn't speak to him very often. He'd message me and say, do you want this job? And I'd be like, no, I don't fancy that or can't do that, whatever. And after a minute, he said, look, I've got a really, really well-paid job. It's international. Do you want to get it? I'm going to send your portfolio off if you want you. We're going on Friday. And I was like, okay, fab. Now I'm petrified flying. I have to take the housepan to fly. Anyway, he comes back and he's like, yeah, right, they want you. We're going. So he goes, and as I was stressing having the tablets in my bag, I didn't want to take them till we'd gone through security because I didn't want to feel monged going through the airport. And he was like, I'll carry them. And I was like, I don't want to get them took off me. Like, I don't want to think anything because they weren't on prescription or anything like that. So he puts them in his bag and we goes through and for whatever reason, we were having a drink somewhere and I goes, gives them tablets. So he passes me them, I take one and I blacked out. Don't usually black out off diazepam. And when I wakes up, we were in a cab, we'd flown, got out at the airport and we're in a cab on the way to this hotel. And we goes in and it was night time by the time we arrived. And we've got separate rooms. I'm in my room and I'm sort of coming to a little bit, waking up a little bit. And there's a knock on the door and he was like, we need to take some content. So he comes in with his camera and he was like, put this on. And show me like this black lacy lingerie bodysuit thing with some stockings and suspenders. And he's taking photos of me, but he's filming it as well. And he's finished doing his content basically. And I've leant over the desk to get me ciggies. And he's grabbed me from behind on video. And I've jumped out my skin and gone, oh, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you've sexually assaulted me. And he was like, oh, do you blame me? You're gorgeous, you know, how do you expect me to keep your hands off? I know this is, you know, this is part of the industry. And to be fair, I've seen a lot of people get groped. I've seen a lot of people being touched in ways that were inappropriate and stuff like that. And it is a bit of a culture within that industry, within a lot of industries. The media industry is the same. So I suppose I sort of just put it to the back of my mind and was like, oh, he's just a sleazebag, he's just horrible. And the day after it was a Tuesday shoot. And that night he said, we're going to an after party. And I was like, oh, all right, fine, great. I was knackered. And I remember I didn't want to go. We were flying out the next morning. We goes anyway, we're in this party. And after a minute he comes over to me. I'm trying to leave him because he's getting on my nerves, dead close to me all the time. And I'm talking to these local girls, random girls. And he's like, come over, I've got someone I want you to meet. So he takes me like right to the back of this club, through like a corridor that would lead to the toilet, and in this back room with a black door. And we goes through and there's 3 fellas sat there between the ages of 60 and probably 80, all dressed in suits, briefcases. And one of them stands up, the other 2 stay sat down, and he comes over and he was like, I've been waiting to meet you. And he shakes my hand and he's looking me up and down like I'm a piece of meat. I was like, come over. So he sits down and we're having a drink and they're all talking, and I'm just sort of don't know what to say. And I was quite aware as well, they were all very posh. And I'm quite common and brassy, so I was like, I don't know what to say. I don't know about wine. I don't know about these things that these people are talking about, stocks and shit. And out of nowhere, one of the other fellas just looks at me and went, what's your party trick? And I went, what? He went, what's your party trick? And I just went, oh, magic. And just started laughing. He went, oh, so you're one of us then? And I was like, oh, do you do magic? And he was like, yeah. And I'm thinking he thinks I've just meant drugs. And I'm thinking he's probably thinking drugs. And it wasn't until a little bit later on that was the first time they'd let on that they sort of knew what I'd done. And ends the night, flies home. And I got invited to basically another, what was called a party, about 2 months later. And it was an orgy, basically. There was girls there with nothing on, loads of fellas, all kinds of people, but them 3 men were there. And I weren't introduced to them. I didn't see them initially as we went in. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on. It was a proper full-on orgy. Literally, there's people getting shagged everywhere. And I'm looking at the agents and I'm like, what is this? What have you brought me to? You know, I get it that some girls might be into that in this industry, but I'm not in fucking porn. Like, what is this? And I wasn't doing any like nude stuff, modelling. I was doing really tasteful, nice stuff. And he was like, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about this. Again, you've got to come to these places. You've got to get to know these people. You've got to rub shoulders with the right people to get get your work, basically. And I was like, this seems mad. Anyway, the night goes on. Everyone's fucking off the faces, pissed. And this big fella walks in, big beard, with no t-shirt on, with a pair of shorts on. And this girl's linked in his arm. She's fucked. Absolutely. She can barely walk. He's holding her up. And he brings it into like a table like this that's in the middle of like a hall. And there's other bits of tables around it, but this one had just been left empty. No one had touched it. There was no drinks on it, no nothing. And as I've walked in, he's picked her up and threw her on the table. So she's sat on the table like this. She's got all to the backside of it and her feet are hanging over the other side. It's like a bevel glass table, sit like a square, and it spins. And he starts spinning her until she's bleeding from holding onto it, getting faster and faster. And as he's spinning the table, everyone starts gathering around in a circle. So I naturally do. I just follow the agents. And he's saying this chant. Again, it's a Latin chant. And I'm thinking, oh, this is fucking mad. Again, there's all still people doing all kinds of weird stuff behind me that aren't part of this circle. And I had like this blood going everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Her hands were cut, her arms were cut, feet, upper legs, her ankles. And after a minute, he just stops it dead sudden, picks her up, throws her over his shoulder and walks out with her. And the agent goes, come on, we're done. And I'm like, in shock, thinking this is fucking mad. Maybe this is just what rich people do with their money. And we're in a cab on the way back. And I was like, what the fuck was that? What have you got me into? And he went, are you in our club or what? And I was like, what fucking club are you on about? This is mad. Like, what were they doing? What's he doing with it? But what was interesting is as we've come out to get into the cab, you can hear him fucking her. But he was saying something, and you could hear him like fucking going at it, you know what I mean? But every time you could hear a thrust, he was saying something as he was doing it. And like, I was making, like, he must have seen how shocked I was, the agents, and he was making a joke of it, going, they're together, they're in a relationship, stop sweating, like, you know, people have got weird fantasies that they like to fulfill. And I was like, yeah, but in front of everyone, making a bleed, like, what's all that about? And he's laughing, and like laughing at me, where I felt like very small at that point, and I'm thinking, oh, I've got myself into some weird ass fucking shit here. I didn't think for 1 minute it was what it was. I just thought these are all just weird people with too much money. So you've got to do this stuff. And the day after, he sent me another message. It was a text message saying, are you in our club or what? And I just wrote back, yeah. This thing used to take over a little bit. And every ounce of my body, every cell in my body went, no. It's like I knew what I was getting myself into, but it didn't. And I just felt the urge to go, yeah, I'm all for it. And then I started getting taken to dinner parties. Wasn't always a ritual, but the people I was there with were all involved in it, and the very, very familiar faces that were in these places. The next one I went to was down south in Berkshire, and it was my initiation, basically. And I walked in, and as I'd basically been booked by this couple that owned this house. They had a business and they wanted me to model some like lingerie, stocking type of thing. My face wouldn't be in it, just my lower body. I was like, yeah, great. So they invited me down. And as I walked in, I remember having this feeling of dread. There was a fucking crow just stood next to my car as I got out the car, and it was squawking at me, and I remember thinking, that's an omen. And I walks in, and they were all over me, making a big fuss of me, like, oh, here you are, you're all new to all this, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, I'm new to all this. And she just looked at me in the most weirdest way, like she just stopped suddenly speaking and stared at me and went, don't worry, we're going to take it easy on you, Mom. And I was like, okay. So we had dinner, and at one point, the fella who owns this house, the fella of the couple, stood up at the end of the table and he did a toast. And at the end of the toast, he put his champagne flute down. I went like that. Looked around the table and everyone was doing it, and I'm going, what? And I'm doing this right. And stops, picks up, cheers everyone, chin chin, and just carries on. And at one point they go, right, should we go to the drawing room? I think it was the drawing room. Some back room, big double doors, big wooden double doors, massive house. And it's like a games room, there's books in there, there's, you know, fucking board games, drinks and stuff like that. So everyone sits down, and it's like they were red velvet sofas that lined it, and it was like an oblong shape. So everyone sits down on these sofas, and we get to drink, and they were like, right, let's play some games. And I'm thinking, right, play fucking checkers, chess, you know what I mean? Maybe this is part and parcel of it, because I've been immersed in a world at this point where I'm not used to it. It's nothing that I've ever been used to. It's all very much luxury, high society type of stuff. And he gets this gold mat off the shelf, and they're spinning this mat, and whoever it lands on, this woman's asking like a mad question to them, and it ends up landing on me. And I panicked. I don't know why, but I just panicked. And she looked me right in the eye and she went, once upon a time, you did something really, really naughty, didn't you? What was it, Molly? And I was like, I made a wish and it come true. And she just burst out laughing and went, yeah, spun the star again. And I'm thinking, this is fucking weird. Where's this going? And after a while, a couple of people left, and there was me, this couple that owned the house, and two other people that had met out the industry that knew the agent. The agent wasn't there at that one. And as I've walked into another room, we've come out the games room, we've been taken into another room, there's a checkerboard marble floor. And in the floor is a big, massive, what is actually, it's not a pentagram, it's called a unicursal hexagram.
Freemasons.
You've heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something that Crowley uses.
Yeah, Freemasons.
Yeah. And there's one of them, and they start putting on these cloaks, the fellas, the women don't put one on. And they all stand in a circle, and he's lighting these candles. They were on like 3 candelabras. in 3 points around this hexagram. And he goes round and he's saying words and he's touching people on the head as he goes round, does it to me. And then everyone takes hands and I'm stood next to the fella of the couple who's leading this ritual. And this girl next to me takes my hand, so I've got all his hair on, but he doesn't take it. And he walks into the middle, takes a knife out of his pocket, and it was, I can still remember it like it was yesterday, it had a deer horn as its handle. And he takes the knife out and he nicks it on, he starts on that side on the left of me, touches her finger with the knife just so it bleeds a little bit and goes through each person until he comes to me and he says, step forward. So he steps forward into the pentagram and he's looking at me and I can't quite see his face because he's put a veil over it and I'm thinking, but I can see these eyes and his eyes have gone black. He had blue eyes initially and his eyes were black as night and I'm thinking, is it the light? Is it this? Is it that? And then he turns his back to me and he blows out a couple of the candles. And as he does, you can see a very, very blatant shape of Baphomet's head appear over the hexagram from what he'd done with the light. He turns around to me, he cuts me behind my ear. He takes the blood drip that's on the end of his knife and he pops it directly in the middle of the hexagram, where basically the middle of Baphomet's head shadow is. And then he walks back to the edge of the circle. We all hold hands again. Everyone's dripping with blood. And I'm like this. And everyone's just stood there like saying these fucking words. And I'm kind of like, and I panicked. I was shaking like a fucking leaf thinking, what the fuck is this? This is mad. Am I getting sacrificed? Is this where it's going? And then out of nowhere, hoods off, like nothing had happened, throws them back on the shelf, the women walk out, we're retiring for bed. And they just left me in this room and I go around and I'm blowing the candles out like that's a fire hazard and going through motions because I was in shock. And I goes to bed. Does the shoot for their brand a couple of weeks later. And I don't see them again. Never again, this couple. The other people that were involved in that ritual, I've seen them multiple times, but this couple, that was the only time I ever seen them. I mean, I could describe them for you and everyone would know exactly who they are. And I can't do that, you know what I mean?
Is that the Grand Masters, do you think? Do you think that's the top?
Not quite top. So the initial fella that I'd met in the first, when I'd gone to that after party, when we were abroad, off that first very high paid job, he ended up as the leader, the fella with the crocodile skin shoes. He always had a briefcase to match. He always wore the same shoes. Very, very old fella, late 60s, early 70s.
Red shoes?
They weren't red, but you know that type of mahogany brown that's got a red tinge to it? Mm-hmm. That type, like patent leather shoes.
Were you not excited though, especially if you're going down the Levée route of the Satanic Church? Because he started the Satanic Church, did he not?
Yeah.
Why did you go to that route? Is that because of your mum and what you've seen with her?
I think so, yeah. I mean, to be fair, you found the most information from the likes of Anton LaVey and Alistair Crowley. They had the most, even the Lesser Book of Solomon. But again, I'd used all of these things and it took magical processes from these books when I'd done these rituals and they'd never worked. So I was half convinced, like, maybe it's bullshit. Maybe they just made it up. But clearly clearly there was something, a step that I must have missed out in the initial rituals that I must have done in the third one for it to have happened.
What's in these books? What are these books saying? I've never read it. I've seen some interviews with LaVey though.
Yeah.
But before he died, which was very interesting, his last words is, "Oh no, what have I done?" That was his last words on his deathbed.
Because these things, like, they persecute you. It's very, you know you've got them with you. You know you're about to die and you know
Have you ever seen LaVey's wife and their connection with the daughter to blonde hair, tall?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor
yes,
Swift.
I've seen her.
So LaVey's wife, they're saying, or maybe LaVey's
image.
wife's daughter, they're saying the spitting image of LaVey and Taylor Swift. I'll put the photo up so people can see the resemblance. They'll look like twins.
Look, these people follow bloodlines and they keep these bloodlines strong for a reason. And it's to keep everything hush-hush.
So what are you thinking when you're reading these books? Like, what is it actually saying? Is it believing in magic and obviously the Satanic cult and all these signs
I've got a lot
about
more
now?
From the Lesser Book of Solomon, because not only does it provides the sigils that you need to conjure these demonics, but it gives you the power to command them. And that's why I like that book. Whereas the rest of them, it seems very, what's the word? I thought it was fake. A lot of the stuff that I was reading in other books. And even then, like, I found much more information off very, very lesser known websites on the internet than I did in Anton LaVey's books or, research and Crowley and stuff like that. But I think it was an excitement for me. I'd made a decision I can't say it was spare at the moment because it wasn't. But I think I'd made a decision. And I think the whole time my logical brain saying to me, as if that's worked, you've just got lucky type of thing. And I think if I had really gone into it, I probably would have lost my mind. So I am glad that it didn't quite go, oh yeah, this is grace.
Yeah, but everything's a cult. Every religion's a cult. Where you ever look at it, like you say, you've went down that route. People, whether you're Christian, Muslim, you're believing in something that's not real. Yeah. It's an imaginary friend. Now you talk about having imaginary friends. There's no different. There's no disrespecting religions.
No,
because
absolutely.
It's great to have a belief. It's great to believe in something.
I think they're invented to control.
Yeah, who says they're real? We just believe in it. You believed in that at one time. Thought, you know what? I don't fucking like my life. I'm suicidal. I need an escape.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. No, look, I disagree with religion completely and utterly, but magic itself is very, very real.
Yeah, we've all got magic. How we're born is magic in itself. Everybody's got the source to tap into, but there's so much static, so much porn, drugs, bad foods, bad waters. I mean, we're not really connected the way we should be connected.
The education system.
Like people might not believe in magic, but how we're here, how the body works, how the brain functions, the central nerves, the heart, the liver, the kidneys.
Yes.
So that's magic in itself. The way women can carry a baby is magic. The way, like everything is magic. Everything is spelling. And I say this sort of stuff, like have belief and have goals of writing it down because you're putting spells into the universe. That's why it's called spelling. Now for the mindset, but to go down that satanic kind of cult route, that's a very dark route to go around, but I'd imagine you were young, naive, hearing voices, probably an outsider.
Desperate.
Yeah.
I was desperate. At the end, I didn't care about me. I was like,
so you would have been an easy target though, because you're looking for answers. So you'd have been easily groomed, and that's the only way from what I can see it, but you would have been a target of, we can give you this life, you're buying into the bullshit, but you need to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So what happens then when you start kind of doing the rituals, and what you thinking then?
So this thing was possessing me at this point. Like, I'll show you the pictures. It's not me in my modelling pictures. Don't look nothing like me. And it took over in certain ways, shapes and forms. And the next ritual that I went to after that was more like a dinner party, but I got my first envelope without the agent. So it was the agent at that point that was sort of connecting me and taking me to these things. But I received this first envelope and it come under a hotel door. And it had this tiny little black star in the corner. And it just had an address on it, a date, a time. See you there. And, I went. And to be fair, it wasn't a massive ritual. We were having a dinner party. There was girls there. And while I'd gone on my own, the agent had turned up with a blonde girl. And he was all over, and I was like, they're obviously shagging, you know what I mean? And I got quite pally with this girl. She was lovely. And I was half convinced she'd done what I'd done to get into it. Because the way she spoke and the way she looked, and I thought, you can tell when someone's got other interference going on around them. And we had this dinner party, and she's left with the agent, and every time I seen her again, she was with this agent. So I just assumed they were probably for shagging, whatever. And it was at another event. It was quite a big event, loads of other people there. It wasn't just the club. It was all kinds of people that I'd been invited to. I'd noticed him with her, and I'd said, where are you going after here? Do you want to go for a drink or something? I'd invited her somewhere, and she was like, no, we've got plans. And she had this dead cheesy grin, and he's looking at me, and she's looking at me, and I'm thinking, all right. And they go, I leave, and that girl's never been seen again. Anyway, no one in the industry knows where she's gone. She disappears off social media. Nothing.
Dead?
No, I think so. And I think so because of this. So this went on for, I was in this club for about a year. 2 years from the start of the process to sort of getting out, really. And at one of the last rituals that I went to is where I lost all bearings on fucking reality, and I shit myself. And it was in France, and I'd done a shoot. Ended up going to an after party. It was a huge event. They had like acrobatics on, fucking fire breathers. It was boss. And later on in the night, bear in mind, I'm just drinking, but I'm not drunk type of thing. Don't take any drugs, nothing like that. And later on in the night, they're bringing out these platters, and I comes back into like the main, wasn't a hall, but like the main room where everyone was, and there's a body on a table just like this. In fact, this is round about the same size that it was. Like an overweight fella's body, cut open with everything hanging out. It's all been decorated with grapes and leaves and flowers, but like what I think was a kidney was hanging out, his tongue had been cut out, and it was on someone's plate. Who was just eating it. His eyes had been pulled out, but like they were still on the stalky thing, so they were just hanging. And I remember looking at it and panicking. I just had a panic attack, and I started screaming, and I was like, what the fuck, that's a dead body. And some fella comes behind me that had seen him, but had never spoke to him at these places, and he goes, "You're making a scene. Calm yourself down. It's just art, Molly." And I was like, this isn't art. And like the fucking scouse bit came out of me, and I'm like, fuck. You know what I mean? I lost me fucking shit, and I'm running down this hall, I'm looking for the toilets. And this fella comes behind me again, and he grabs me and he throws me in this room. This room's pitch black. Absolutely pitch black. And he gives me a drink, and it's this pink fizzy drink, and I'm like, no, I don't want to drink. And he's going, you're going to have to calm down. You need to calm down. You're ruining the night for everyone. Do you not understand? You're making a scene and you're frightening other people. It's just art. It's not real. It fucking was real. I know what art is. And that was a dead body that they were eating. And he's like, drink the drink. And drinks the drink. And it goes all funny. He spikes it with something. And I ends up having basically this supernatural experience where I'm out of my body. I'm dancing with this old man that I've met in the beginning. And in this experience that I have, half of his face is demonic, half of his face is human. And as I've come out of that vision, I'm still screaming. And he's like, finish your drink. And I can't speak properly. I think they give me like a date rape drug or something similar, something very like a sedative of some kind. So I'm knocking this drink back because I'm like, I need to get out of here. And they ends up walking me, two people, walking me out. They had a cab waiting for me, but they took me through. So we've come in a front door and I've gone out a back door, and we've gone through a tunnel, like an underground tunnel. And we had to walk up about 6 steps. And I remember tripping on the stone steps. I've still got scars on my knees off it now. And they've picked me up, put me in this car, and I've woke up in a hotel. Flew home. And I remember going in and saying to my mum, they were eating a human being. She knew what I'd done. I told her everything. And she knew all of these things that I was involved in and all stuff like that. Sometimes she'd be like, yeah, this is great. Another time she'd turn around and say to me, I think you've lost the plot, Molly. And I'd be like, how can you fucking say that? You're like, you know what I mean? Like, how? And I'm explaining all this stuff to her, and she just looked at me and went, I think we need to speak to the mental health services. And I went, oh shit, I need to be fucking quiet, but I can't go back, can't go and do that again. I've got myself in too deep, and it was at that point I was in proper fight or flight, and I was scared for my life at that point because I thought it'll be me on there, or I'll end up like Blondie and just disappear. You know what I mean? And like I say, there was loads of girls that you'd see as these rituals, and particularly like that dark hair girl that fella has on that table. You know, I'd seen him again at other points in time. She's never with him. And I'm thinking, you've sacrificed her. Just like you sacrificed the fella on the table, just like you sacrificed the fucking blonde girl, and I'll be next because you know that I'm rattled by it all. But one thing I do think as well, in that place where that fella's on the table, he's being sacrificed in a different ritual. I think I was kept very much on the outskirts so they could sort of ease me in to see how I would react. Does that make sense? And I feel like I was touching my toe into it, really. I think there's a lot more that went on with them within groups and within higher ups. I was clearly very, very low on
Different
the ladder.
levels, yeah. It was when I've interviewed people who expose paedophiles and that, and what they do is they get the kids to watch porn, get it normalised, do you know, to accept the madness.
Yeah.
And like you say, dipping your toe into scene, and that's only, people might think it's dark, that's fucking level 1, that's the starter. you know what I'm saying? I'd imagine these people would be high up and very protected, where they don't let people in very easily, especially if you're having panic attacks.
That's it. And from that moment on, I started ignoring the invitations. And for about, I think it was about 4 months, it was quite a while. I was like, I've got out of it, I'm fine. I didn't hear nothing off them, and all right, the invites will come. And little emails will come. The agent was ringing me to the point I just blocked his number, sent him a message saying, I'm not doing this anymore. If I owe you any money, let me know. Blocked him. And I was like, I can't have nothing to do with it. And then after about 4 months, I started getting these mad emails, basically detailing where I'd been that day, who I was with, my kids' names. Didn't have my daughter at the time, just my 2 boys. My kids' names. Then it'd be like photo attachments. There was one that had been took in a park in Muttondilla, Reynolds Park. And it's a small park, James, like there's houses surrounding it. There's no way on earth someone could have took a picture without me noticing. And on the picture, my kids are like that. You know, just smiling, obviously mid-conversation. I've got me back to the camera, well, my side. And I'm thinking, there's no way. They couldn't have done that without me seeing it. Like, what the fuck? And at that point, obviously, didn't get any more work. I couldn't do anything to do with it because I was scared then. And I thought as well, if I go to a job and they know that I've just ran away and I'm fucking no contact with them, am I just going to get off? Am I just going to get kidnapped, trafficked? Fuck knows what's going to happen to me. So I thought I'll try a bit of glamour. I'll get out the fashion and get into glamour. So I did some low paid jobs, like fucking personal stuff. And like I say, that was sort of paying me bills. And then I ended up doing a competition, like swimsuit competition. And I managed to get through, and I got round to the semi-finals. And the emails were coming through again, constantly. And then another handwritten letter got delivered to my mum's, and I remember her passing it to me. And I thought nothing of it. It wasn't a white envelope, it was a brown one. So I just thought, oh, whatever, opens it. And he's asked to see me at a restaurant in Chester. And I thought, if I don't go, what's going to happen? And it was a public place, it wasn't a ritual, it was midday. And I thought, well, I'll be all right. And I said to my mum, will you come with me? And she was like, no. No, so, okay. So it goes, and like, there's people in the restaurant eating their dinner. They're right far back on a table. Again, these 3 fellas, the agent wasn't there, just these 3 men, 3 old fucking men.
The same 3 men from the start?
Yeah. And I walks over and they were like, oh, we have missed your presence. And I was like, shaking his hands. He gives me a kiss on the cheek. And I sits down and he went to order for you. And I thought, yeah, she's going to fucking poison me. Anyway, it comes, they got me like a Capri salad or something like that. I took a picture of it, still got the picture on my phone. And I'm eating and they're just talking about basic stuff, like normal stuff, how businesses are going and this, that and the other. And at one point, I picks the cocktail up and I spills it on myself. And the fella with the shoes stands up. And he went, don't make a scene in here. And I went, no, I just spilled my drink, sorry, like I'm just clumsy and I'm dabbing myself. And then he reaches in his bag and he gives me an envelope and he went, look, I know what your plan is. I'll be following you. I was like, I know. Because to be fair, I did notice people, and they were always in suits, always, and they'd be in the randomest places where you just wouldn't see someone like that. Cars following me for too long, where, you know, you're watching that type of stuff, and obviously with the pictures and the emails detailing what it's done. And he said, look, I've got one last request for you, and I'll leave you to it. You'll never work in this industry again. I was like, sounds okay, fabulous. And he said, you've got to deliver that. And I was like, where to? And he went, take it with you to the next round of this competition. Didn't say the competition, just said, take it with you to the next round. They will come to you. I was like, okay. And I goes a few weeks later, does this competition. It all ends. And I'm thinking, no one's come up to me for this envelope. And I'm walking around with it in my handbag. And it just looks like the one that I did. They used to give me white envelope, black star in the corner. And as I'm walking outside, I've gone out for a ciggy and I'm stood outside and there's obviously people are leaving with their families, the girls and stuff like that. And this woman taps me on the shoulder and she went, have you got a light, love? So we gives her a lighter. And she went, think you've got something for me, haven't you? And I went, no. Takes me lighter and I walks off because I'm looking at the daughter who had just done this competition with, thinking, fucking no. She was a young girl, she was about 18. They're obviously very naive, and I thought, I can't do this. I can't do this to you. So I didn't, and I put it in my bag. And I walked off, and it was in Manchester. And I parked 3 miles away in some car park, and I'm walking back to my car with my bags. And I was in one of the little back streets. Oh, what's it called? Is it Spitalfields or Spinningfields?
Don't know Manchester.
Somewhere, Spitalfields or Spinningfields. There's a little side, like, alleyway thing that leads you towards the streets. And this woman's crying her eyes out. She's like 40 odds, crying her eyes out. And she's like, help me, please, help me. And I was like, you're all right, love? Like, are you okay? And she was like, phone the police. And I was like, all right, there's my phone. She went, no, I can't ring them. I can't ring them. And I was like, oh, you're pissed or something. Like, something's gone on. Maybe she's had a domestic. And she was like, I don't feel safe. And I went, yeah, do you want to walk with me? She's like, can you give me a lift? And I was like, I can't give you the lift, love, now. But I'll walk with you to wherever you're going. And we're walking up these streets and she's just sobbing. And I can't speak to her. She won't say nothing to me. She won't tell me what's happened. And she's just like, I'm not safe. I'm not safe. I'm not safe. Anyway, we get to like a crossing, like Pelican Crossing. I press the button and I'm waiting for the traffic to stop. And she's facing behind me and her face goes white. And she's just in shock. And she just starts screaming and fucking legs it. Like into traffic, down some road and disappears. So I turn around and this fella's like crossed the road behind me, come and stood behind me. Smart fella, grey suit he has on, grey hair, must have been 50 odd. And I just laughed and I went, fucking hell, what have you done to her? Just making conversation. And he went, I don't know, give me the envelope. And I went, what? He went, give me the envelope. And I said, Molly, give me the envelope. And I'm stood there like that. Don't know what to say. Reaches in my bag, gives him the envelope, gets in my car, drives home. And that was the start of the proper stalking then. Getting that off the road. I was left alone for about eight weeks, 3 months, maybe even 4 months. It was quite a while. And I remember going to do an event. I think it was someone's birthday party. One of the girls invited me to it. It was down in Essex. And my idea was I'm going to drive down there because I don't drink. Go for the party, stay for a couple of hours, and I'll drive back same night. And so it goes, and it does, and does this event, not untoward. And I'm in the car driving back, and it's like early hours in the morning. There's not a car on the road. And this Mazda just appears behind me. And I'm thinking, that's weird, and it just sits behind me in the middle lane. I'm obviously in the inside lane. And I'm thinking, terrible drive, that terrible middle lane hogger. No, as I'm driving along, the next minute, he pulls next to me and then tries to swerve into me to the point where I've had to put my car on the hard shoulder into a load of stones. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And he speeds off. And I can see the Mazda sign at the back of his car. And I'm thinking, oh, fucking effing and Jeff, nearly fucking bell ends, blah, blah, blah. She nearly fucking killed me. But I was quite panicked from it. And I think, fuck it, I'll stop at the services. So I stops at the services, goes into a Starbucks, gets a coffee, and as I'm walking out, I walks into someone, and like a motorcycle rider fella, all in leathers, and my coffee went all over him, and I've gone, oh God, I'm dead sorry. And he was like, oh, don't worry about it. But his accent was mad. It was like South African or something. He was not English, but it wasn't an accent the way I could go, yeah, I know what that is. It was mad. Anyway, gets back in my car, didn't go back for another coffee, just got in the car and carried on. And as I turns my engine on, he walks in front of my car, this fella in his leathers, and puts another Starbucks cup on my bonnet. And I was like, oh, thank you, I'm so sorry I threw that at you, it's a good job you had your leathers on, and blah, blah, blah. And he didn't say a word, he has his helmet on all the time. And I was like, so he gets out the car, takes the coffee, gets in. And I noticed my stomach had started swelling up a little bit. And I'm thinking, not you on? I said, what's going on? And I'm drinking this coffee and I'm driving on the motorway and I get about halfway through this coffee and I feel woozy. And I knew that feeling. And I was like, it's poisoned. I know it's fucking poisoned. So it pulls over into the hard shoulder. And I'm like, trying to get myself together. But I can't stop. I'm like, I've got to get home. Got to get home to my kids and blah, blah, blah. I can't fucking just pass out on the side of the road. And starts driving again. Ends up taking a turn off the M6 somewhere, and it took me through like Derbyshire, I think it was, on these back roads that was just surrounded by marshes, and there's a fucking motorbike in front of me, and I'm thinking, that's the fella that's fucking poisoned me. So I've stopped my car in the middle of these fields in the middle of nowhere, Like, it's a single track road over these little mini bridges over these weird streams. And I gets out the car, I'm like trying to get fresh air because I can't breathe properly, I can't see properly, I feel like I'm going to pass out. And as I do, I gets out the car and I has this vision of this demonic that I knew that was with me, basically killing me at the wheel, like smacking my face off the wheel and then my car going off a cliff and all like mad shit like that. So he gets back in the car and I'm like, oh my fucking God. Having a breakdown, drives home again, and I managed to get as far as the M62. And it was not far past IKEA when a motorbike comes round me, does the exact same thing that Mazda did, but this time I'd gone into the barrier on the edge. And all my tyres were flat, couldn't drive away, couldn't do nothing, so I stopped my car, I'm looking at it, and I ended up ringing someone that I knew, some lads, and I said, look, I've had a bit of an accident, but all my tyres are popped, I can't drive. And he was like, Sam, don't worry, I'll be there. And an hour or two later he pulls up and he went, Molly, you've got a black eye. And I'm like, looking in the mirror in the car, I'm like, fucking hell, I have as well. And it was like massive all the way down there, and I'm thinking, and he went, did you bang your head? And I went, no. I said, don't get me wrong, I've hit the barrier a little bit. I said, but it's just all the outsides of my tyres. Even like the car doors weren't scraped or anything, the tyres had just been fucked. And he was like, how did you get that? And I was like, I don't know. But obviously it's from whatever's happened during that vision that I've had that demonic doing that to me has created something within the body. And I get back to Liverpool, and by the time I got back to Liverpool, my stomach was out here. And I felt really, really poorly. I was pouring with sweat, absolutely like dying. And I walked through the front door and my mum had just got up with the kids. It must have been about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. She went, you need to go to hospital. You do not look well. What's happened? And when I say my stomach was out here, it was huge. So we go to the Royal. And they've got me in there. And they're asking me questions. Why you're in so much pain. I passed out on the A&E floor, like literally couldn't get up. And I was like, I don't know, but my stomach's here and I couldn't stand up straight, couldn't lean over properly. It was, it wasn't good. My whole body was in agony. I'd gone white, again, pouring with sweat. And they're asking me all these mad questions, and they were like, I think you're constipated. And I was like, I'm not fucking constipated. My stomach wouldn't be that big, and if it was that big, I'd be fucking vomiting shit, wouldn't I? And I got dead pissed off at them in the end, because I was thinking, no, something else was going on in there. So I ended up discharging myself, because they were just trying to give me laxatives. So I did, I went home, and over the next week, I got sicker and sicker and sicker to the point where I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't wake up. My mum would wake me up by shaking me, and I'd like crawl down the stairs, and I'd be asleep on the couch. I'd literally sit on the couch and pass out again. And she ended up ringing an ambulance at one point because I stopped breathing. And they took me into Whiston this time. And again, they said the same thing. They took me for a scan. And they said, nothing's shown up on your scan. We think you're all constipated, but it's not that bad. So we can't understand why your stomach's swelling. And they did some blood tests. And as they were drawing blood out, my blood was clear. And they were like, what's going on? Rang all kinds of consultants. I ended up passing out again. And when I woke up, I was on a ward. And the consultant was at the end of my bed. And he was like, you are really, really sick. You've got no iron in your blood. You've got no proper blood cells in there. We don't know how you can breathe because there's nothing carrying the oxygen around your body. We don't know how you're here. They'd given me a blood transfusion in the night. So I was feeling a lot better when I woke up. My stomach had gone down quite a lot. And I started saying about the stomach. And I was going, well, what's this swelling? What is this swelling? And they were like, I don't know. And after a couple of days, I'd had 2 blood transfusions. After 24 hours after each one, my blood had gone back to baseline, it's gone clear again. So something was using up these products, and they were gobsmacked. They were like, we don't know what the fuck's going on. And I was in there for 2 weeks. And they were trying all different things with me, and it was working for a while, and then I'd end up sick again. And then at one point, they got me well enough where they discharged me, and I was coming into like an ambulatory clinic, they called it. And for whatever reason, something else happened with my stomach. Something wasn't right. I think I was just in agony. I ended up back in the Royal A&E. And they'd done a blood test and the blood was back clear again. And I was like, this happens. And they're looking at my notes and they're like, fucking hell, yeah, we can't understand what this is. We've never seen this. And I was like, I'm thinking, this fucking demonic draining my body. Obviously, I didn't know in what ways then. And they ended up keeping me in. And for whatever reason, one of the nurses came and she was being a cunt to me, an absolute cunt. She was trying to give me antibiotics saying I had an infection. and even antibiotics that I was allergic to. And I kept saying, when I'm allergic to them, I'm just going to vomit them up. You're going to make me sick. I'm not taking them. And she threw a file at me. And it was my file. And when I'd gone through the file, there was no medical notes of everything that had gone on, the blood transfusions, the iron infusions they'd give me. And I'm thinking, what? And then, like, the ward's sister had come round, so what are you doing with that file? And I kicked off. I went, your nurse has just threw that at me because I refused to take metronidazole because I'm allergic to it. And she went, you shouldn't have access to them. And I was like, oh, okay. And they made me feel that uncomfortable that I discharged myself. I was still ill. And I'd gone back in for an iron infusion. My GP had sent me for another iron infusion, and I'm sat there. She's fixing the drip in my arm. And it's a nurse I'd never seen before in my life with dark hair. She was a lovely, lovely person, and she just crouched down in front of me and she went, Molly, we can't help you in here. You need to find a natural healer. And I'm thinking, you don't know nothing about me. You don't know my story. You don't know how many times I've been in and out of these hospitals on death's door. And I thought, maybe there's some truth. Maybe she knows something that I don't. And I had that iron transfusion, walked out the hospital, and I started contacting people online. Exorcists, healers, what are they called? Naturopaths, acupuncturists, all kinds of people. And I went to see all kinds of different people, shamans, all types of natural healers. And every single one of them were like, yeah, I can help you. I was dead open with what I'd done. I can help you. We can do this, we can do that. Took thousands of pounds off me. And I was still sick. I was getting sicker and sicker. I still had this demonic with me to the point now where I couldn't think straight because it was telling me to do things. It was controlling me as well. Like, there was a time when I was driving, I had the kids in the car and we were going to, there's a water park in Southport, and I'm driving down the Formby bypass. And my hand just starts shaking on the wheel as if like I'm going to crash my own car here. And I threw my foot on the brake and my hands are still moving on the wheel. It was the maddest scenario. And I was under possession and it was trying to make me kill myself while I had my kids in the car. So to cut a long story short, I've gone to see all these people and I'm not getting any better till I found a fella in Crewe. And it was a really, really old man. And he was a naturopath, a herbalist and an acupuncturist. And I remember ringing him and he was dead expensive. It was like nearly £200 for your first consultation. And I was skint at this point. And I was like, I'll have to do it. Books in. And drives up to Crewe. And as I goes to walk in the back door of his house where he had his clinic, he looked above me and he went, you've brought a friend with you, you know. And I thought, oh my God, he can see it. He can actually see this demonic that I've got attached to me. And I started laughing and I thought it was dead funny. And I was like, I don't know, yeah. I sold my soul to the devil once upon a time and I've got this thing with me now that's killing me. And he just looked at me and went, why are you laughing? And I was like, I don't know. And I'm explaining to him, look, I've been in and out of hospital, I've done this, I've done that, nothing's working, I can't get rid of it, I'm being chased by this club, I'm being stalked. And he was like, I know someone that can help you. I mean, he did a right machine on me, he gave me all kinds of herbal supplements and stuff like that, and acupuncture treatments, Rife treatments. But what he actually put me in touch with was an accountant in London who knew about all this stuff. And I remember him ringing him in his office and this Irish fella answers the phone. And the way he spoke, I was thinking, you should have me on. You should another pair of fucking groomers. You know what I mean? And he goes, so what's the matter, Molly? What can I help you with? And I was like, sold my soul to the devil. It's killing me. I've got out the club, so I'm not upholding my part of the bargain and I'm going to die. And he went, yeah, you are. And I was like, so can you help me? And he went, yeah, give me a minute. And he steps away from the phone and he starts toning. Do you know what toning is?
What, singing, making noises?
Yeah, basically, yeah, this really high-pitched noise. And after about 10 minutes, I'm laughing. I think it's fucking hysterical. Like, I've never heard someone do it in my life. And I'm looking at the healer and I'm going, is that fucking normal? Is he right? And he has. And he's like, trust him, trust him. Comes back on the phone and he was like, look, I can get rid of your demonic, but I can't get rid of your contract. You've got to do that. And I was like, how? And he's like, you'll be shown the way. If you've made that decision to not go back, they'll show you if you're meant to have it back. And I was like, so I'm stuck with it. You're fraudulently pretending to heal me yet again. Fucking accountant on the phone from London has removed his demon. And they were like, yeah. So for about 6 months, nothing happens. Obviously, I'm getting emails and stuff like that. The emails that it come from would look like, it's like a Russian language. It was like letters, numbers. at like this mad email address, but you couldn't send anything back to it. It'd never be delivered, that type of stuff. Still getting letters and stuff, and pictures in the post, hand delivered, of course, never through the fucking postal services. And I'd sat and I'd sat as I wanted to retrain as a blood nurse because I wanted to find out what had gone wrong with my blood. There's definitely some truth in them adrenochrome theories, if you heard them.
Yeah,
there is some
blood.
Yeah, there is some truth in it because that is the only thing that kept me alive. And I decided I'm retraining.
What kept you alive? Adrenochrome?
Blood products. So they were giving me blood transfusion after blood transfusion. That was making me better for about 24 hours.
Yeah, clean blood.
Yeah, and then the blood would go clear again. And I couldn't reproduce my own blood anymore.
White blood cells.
White blood cells, red blood cells, ferritin. I had no iron. I shouldn't have been alive, basically, is what they were saying to me. We don't even know how you're here talking to us. Just doesn't happen. They'd never seen it. And so yeah, I decided I'm going to retrain as a blood nurse, and I'm sat in my kitchen and I'd paid for this course to go and do it in Rodney Street. And my mum's talking to me, she's doing something in the kitchen, fucking about, pissed. And I start having this vision of fucking Jesus with me. Now, I've been brought up very Catholic. I've always refuted religion. I don't agree with it. Never have. Went to a Catholic school run by nuns and everything. So the idea of Jesus to me was alien. And I was like, oh, here we go. Here's fucking Mad Molly coming back. But he comes towards me. He looks not like he's depicted. He looks similar with his Jesus sandals, but that's the only really common thing that we can see in the depictions of him today, with this big cartoon fucking hair to look like a Bratz doll. And he comes towards me and he puts his arms around me and he went, your soul's yours, you know. And I was like, what the fuck? And I'm crying. I'm sat on a stool at the breakfast bar crying my eyes out, and my mum staring at me. And I'm talking to Jesus. And yeah, he puts his arms around me, says that, and he says, they're not done with you, but you're going to be all right, but you've got to pick your magic back up. And I'm thinking, I'm not doing magic again. And he starts showing me pentagrams. And I'm thinking, I'm definitely not doing that again. And I have this big emotional experience, and it comes out of it, and my mum's like, are you all right, love? And I'm like, I've just had a vision of Jesus. And she just looked at me as if, like, fucking hell, you think I've lost the plot? You have. And I'm thinking to myself, nah, this is mad, but it felt that emotional, it felt that real. There was no way I could deny it. And especially for someone like me, I was a Muslim for a bit and everything. The idea of Jesus just did not gel with me, but after that experience, I was like, nah, he's fucking king. Jesus is king. Like, if anything's real, it's got to be Christ. Or the Christ consciousness. You know, I don't believe Jesus is a God. I just believe Jesus was a human that came down here, showed us how to live, and then went back to fucking heaven, where we all returned to at one point.
Were you taking any tablets or anything?
Nothing.
Weed? Nothing?
No. Nothing.
Did you do any mushrooms, ayahuasca,
No.
cambo?
No. I don't agree with plant medicines. I don't think people should use them. They're not for the West. If we were supposed to have them, we would. We have mushrooms. Just use your native plants. I disagree with them. The only thing I've ever tried was DMT, and that was 3 years ago. So that's recent. I'm one of them people. If I'm going to get high, I have to be in control of it, so I won't take psychedelics because they frighten me. I was on nothing. I was sober as a fucking judge. And it came to me like that.
Did you ever get psychiatric reports or anything, or doctors trying to send you to?
No. I was clever, me. I knew I can't go to someone and go, I'm hearing voices. And what you have to remember as well, growing up in my family, my mum was diagnosed with bipolar, my auntie had been diagnosed with all kinds of stuff. Everyone in our family had mental health problems. They were all drug addicts. So growing up, I knew exactly what I weren't going to do. And I knew as well, while they used to say things to probably get like fucking sick pay and stuff like that, the things that they used to say, I remember thinking to myself, at least I know not to say things like that. I mean, when I was a kid, I think my mum had got me a psychiatric report at one point because I was seeing things all the time and just talking to things. And even they came back and was like, it's just normal kid stuff. She's just got a vivid imagination type of thing. But nothing. Was never under anything. And even now, like, I see people who clearly come to me and they're like, I've got a demon, I need an exorcism, and it's not. They just need psychiatric help. And I always direct them to mental health services. But I think with me, I knew I weren't mad because I'd entered into this, I'd had all of these experiences, attended all of these things, got the work, got the money. I mean, I probably should have lost the plot. when I came out of it. But I'm very strong-minded. I think everything that I went through as a kid.
It must be a very thin line though, from being psychotic to hearing voices to seeing people to maybe it's true that they're saying, you know, like I say, religion and that is no different from having an imaginary friend, whether it's Jesus or whoever it is. Like so it must be a very thin line to sign someone off as crazy to actually go, well, wait a minute, maybe we should listen to them. Imagine everything you're saying is legit, and I'm not disputing that, but imagine people who are in the psychiatric wards, who are seeing people, hearing voices. Imagine they were actually saying, and what they were saying is legit, but yet we just sign them off, not case. So it's easier.
Don't forget, it was only a couple of years ago they came out with this demon face syndrome.
What's that?
Did you hear about that?
No.
It's where people have started seeing people's face changes into demons, basically. And it's a medical condition.
Reptilians?
Some people say they see a reptilian face, but they call it demon face syndrome or something like that.
So that's an actual thing?
Yeah. That's a legitimate condition. Do I think people's brains are just showing them demonic faces or reptilian faces? No, I don't. I think they're actually seeing demons on people.
Yeah, did you ever see the woman on the airplane was saying that guy back there who's not real?
Yes, yeah.
But you'll see the videos and that, and again, I don't know if it's AI or if it's been manipulated, where you see their eyes twitching and changing, whether that's presidents and the Queen. Like I say, I don't know. I wasn't there. I've never seen it with my own eyes. But when you see those videos, you go, that fucking looks creepy. You see that face kind of changing. You've seen it with Elvis.
Reptilians are frightening.
But they've changed. You can see the videos on the internet. You can watch them yourself and make your own assumptions.
Oh, yeah.
But it is hard to believe if you've not seen it with your own eyes.
It is. And I get that. I do understand that. There's a lot of people that have never had these types of experiences, but there's a lot more people who have. You know what I mean? Like the amount of people that have sent me messages going, that's happened to me, that's happened. All right, none of them have ever been in a satanic club, but they've all had these experiences. They've all seen these things. They've heard them. They've had activity in the houses, that type of stuff. You never had nothing, no supernatural experiences ever.
I smoked a lot of weed. And I took a lot of coke, you know, so there's a lot of times I was just tripping balls. But I'm very in tune now, obviously disconnecting from a lot of the negatives.
Yeah.
It's opened the doors for the positives, so I'm very aware and I'm very open-minded to your story, whoever's story, whether people believe in shapeshifters, the earth's round, flat.
Shapeshifters are very real.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Unless I see it with my own eyes, I'm always kind of on the fence with it. But I never shoot down anybody's story because I don't know. I've done ayahuasca. I know you're
What did you see on ayahuasca?
hell.
Really?
I was in hell. Yeah, flames, fire, but I was tripping balls, man. For me, it's another form of an escape. All the answers are within. When you start tapping into mushrooms, ayahuasca, and listen, it was a great experience. I met some great fucking people, but a lot of these people, now, the thing about life, we're all looking for guidance.
Yeah.
All human beings want to be guided. That's why they look at politics and prime ministers, look for their leaders to be guided. We are all sheep, majority of people. The same as everybody's want answers towards life, you know, and I think a lot of these people are fucking creepy now because it's becoming so popularised, it's becoming trendy, and people follow trends. People have Ukraine flags up, they'll have this, like we follow sort of trends, and I think there's a lot of these people manipulating energy, like the sexual energy, so a lot of these healers are becoming more creepier because these people are looking at them as gods. You see these Mormons in America and other people, and they join these cults, and these people think they're gods and Jesuses. I just think a lot of people come in. There's a lot of great healers out there as well. There's a lot of beautiful people. I know you're not against Reiki. I believe in Reiki. I know a great woman, Lorna McLean, who does Reiki. A great woman. Everything is energy. And whether you gravitate towards something and it works for them, by all means, if you're not harming anyone, I'm open to it. But we're living in a day and age where everything's divided. Everybody's confused. And we're looking to these spiritual healers as the answers, and the majority of these people are nowhere fucking healed themselves. No. But it's like a deflection tactic.
But then to expect someone, a human being, to be fully healed is a very, very high expectation.
It's never. It's impossible, especially in today's day and age. We're not growing up in fields. We're not on our own little tribe where it's family and friends and nature and own water and growing your own crops. Everything's toxic. That's why I talk about static. So it's hard to get answers. That's why I've never really done therapy. I've dipped my toe in. I think you don't fucking know. Maybe that's just my ego thinking I can fix myself, but I have.
But you can fix
Yeah, I
yourself.
have. Yeah, and I have.
Of course you can.
But a lot of people go to therapy, and there's two guys who created therapy. The one guy wanted the money for people to talk about their past experiences because he knows it'll be constant income coming back, facing it. Another guy was all about the present moment and the future. But the majority of people went for the guy digging up the trauma because they feel as if they're facing it. And it's a great thing to face trauma and heal it, but you can't keep repeating it.
No, because
Because
that's
it
what
just
you
reaffirms that
should
you're fucking nuts. And like I say, we're all nuts. You're crackers,
yeah.
I'm crackers, Steph's crackers.
Fucking everyone's mental. I only said this to someone the other day. People look at people, it doesn't matter how professional, how well put together, they're all fucked up.
Yeah.
We're all struggling.
Some people hide it better than others.
Well, yeah.
So when you're going through that process, hospitals, blood, try to get away from this cult, what's happening then?
So at that point,
You had this accountant. Was he an accountant or was that his name?
he was an accountant. I can't name him.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so he was an accountant just
yeah.
working a legit job. Because
Yeah,
I'd imagine that side, that kind of job wouldn't be as busy, you know? Maybe the odd phone call every other day. It's not a steady income and there's phone calls every hour.
This is it. And I think a lot of people as well are not as open about it as I am. You know, Michael, I'm an exorcist, I'm a healer, I do this, I do that. A lot of people don't want other people to know that they, one, believe in that sort of stuff or do that sort of stuff neither, because of the reaction that you get. You get judged by a lot of people. A lot of people look at me and go, she's round and fucking bends. But then I think I'm one of the most normal spiritual people there is. There's no fucking bells and whistles. There's no woo-woo shit. I'm not wearing tie-dye. You know what I mean? I'm just being me and doing what I can do, what I was shown to do. But I had this vision, and from that moment, I ended up, I had a dream I was in hell. And I had to face this demonic, and it was that fella. I don't believe for 1 minute that fella with the shoes was human. I don't care what anyone says, he can't have been, not with the amount of experience that I had, not with the amount of visions that I had with him changing. And I end up in this dream, I'm in hell, fucking running and running and running away from something, and in the end I turn around and I faces it, and it's this fella. And his skin comes off and it looks like this demonic that I'd done the pact with. And I walked towards it and I walked through it. And that's when I stopped hearing it. And that's clearly when I faced up to something that I'd done. And for whatever reason, it ended up nulling and voiding the contract that I've made with that realm. Do I think they'll just leave me be? No, I still get all kinds of comebacks off it now, not just from the club. To be fair, until this morning when I showed you that message that they've sent me, it's been about 18 months, 2 years since I've heard from them. But again, there's always, like, withheld phone calls at silly hours of the morning. There's always random emails and stuff like that. Not threatening me, not saying any, and not identify it, but you just know that they're still creating a presence. And from that moment on, I picked my magic up again. Because when I stopped hearing this demonic, I started hearing the actual spiritual realm. I started hearing my spirit guides again, stuff like that.
You talk about magic, black magic, white magic.
I'm talking about white magic. So it's
So you're
obviously...
not doing bad magic, because there is a lot of powers there. You go into like Africa's and voodoo, and there's a lot of dark stuff. People might not understand it, but again, do your own research, and whether people believes in it or not, but there is, people can put spells on people.
It's all intention. If
I'm talking
someone...
about the elites. I'm talking about the people who control the world, where they've got these people who can then put spells. Well, people believe it. I don't know.
Even down to your big fashion houses have shamans on their payroll.
Yeah, well, look, Balenciaga, look at the photos and the videos that they were doing with kids and demonic stuff, you know, like...
Exactly.
Even with the Beatles, and I don't want all the Beatles fans to come after me here, but if you look at the Beatles album or the photo when they had dead babies,
yeah,
what the fuck has that got to do with music?
Exactly. Pink Floyd sing about all this stuff as well.
And you all see them covering the eye. We all know those tactics now and just kind of promoting their own brand. But to get to this elite level and to get to these clubs, there is different levels.
You're either born into it and you're part of the bloodline,
Or you can be recruited.
or you're recruited. You know, there's a high witch in Hollywood that's very open about what she does. You see it in the pictures with A$AP Rocky and stuff like that. Have you seen them?
She's very demonic looking. That old woman with the black hair and the white face who runs the kind of... But then you look at Jimmy Savile. They say he was a wizard.
Yeah, he was.
And he looked like a fucking wizard.
Yeah, he
Creepy
did.
wizard, but he was very demonic looking. And it's mad how he flew under the radar. We've all got senses. He's a creepy bastard. Sometimes you do get it wrong, but it's just those little tints in the glasses and the creepy face and when you see these paedophile hunters, like they do look nonsense, some of those, but there's higher up ones
Oh, yeah.
fly under the radar who wear the suits who you would never judge.
Yeah.
But like I say, with the Jimmy Saviles and he was in with the Royals and how he flew under the radar still beyond
He
me.
didn't
No,
fly under the radar.
But for the majority of the population who used to write to him every day, he had keys to morgues, he had keys to Broadmoor. The stories about fucking dead bodies, and that's all, like you say, dead bodies on the table. This is all part of their club.
This is it.
This is a satanic cult. This is what they do. This is what they believe in.
And it's
they
right
believe in
under everyone's
sacrifice.
nose as well.
Yeah.
It's right here. It's here in Liverpool. It was only last year they
around
had
the
2
world.
women out of one. You know
All
what I
around the
mean?
world.
It's
What about the girl in Dubai? Blonde hair, woke up, broken legs, broken back.
yeah, exactly.
These
It's all
people get
over the
so much
place.
power. And it's just a thrill-seeking thing, whether it's, listen, everybody's got kinks or whatever, but
I think a lot of
that's
them have to
another
go
level.
through certain experiences that can be used to blackmail them as well, though, just in case.
Of course, Epstein,
Well,
Diddy, what they're doing is putting people in compromised positions. So if you're going to these parties and thinking, yep, this is good, I'm making money, before you know it, there's an orgy over there,
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
Listen, why are you leaving? You've just been fucking 5 guys here.
Yeah.
You can't leave, or I'm putting this all over social media. Well, wait a minute. Did you know she's underage? Maybe girls that are there as prostitutes, well, not prostitutes, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Girls who are there working,
Onto the
17.
guys,
yeah. Wait a minute, you've just slept with that girl in America. Do you know she's underage? I've got you for life.
yeah, pretty much on my bitch now.
Yeah, and how has Epstein files not been released? How's he not got a client list now? But yet Ghislaine Maxwell's doing 20 years in prison.
Hasn't she just offered to reveal it and everything? He
Oh,
hasn't
fuck,
committed
right.
suicide.
Then
Nah,
Elon-
he's fucking back on his island doing what he was doing in the first place.
Elon Musk though just put a tweet out a few weeks ago about Donald Trump that says he was on the list, and now it's a case of Epstein's not got a list.
Oh, of course.
So it is creepy what is covered up, but
It's
like I
all-
say,
it's all in your face if you
you're
know
a
where
very
it was.
start at levels, different levels. I've interviewed men who've exposed Scientology and all the different levels it has. Everything's levels.
Oh, yeah.
And to get it, and like I say, not all Freemasons are bad. There's certain
No.
ones. So that's
Depends
the
how
thing.
fucking high
Yeah,
up
of
you are.
course. It's not a case of the local community where there's a Freemason, or somebody works for the council, or somebody's maybe a fireman
This
and
is it.
they're
And
opening
they
doors.
do fantastic stuff for communities and stuff. You know, they keep that lovely little facade for the
Brotherhood.
normal average say people. And the higher up you get, the more satanic it gets. The
I
more
think that's
evil
like
it gets.
any level. Of,
Even Scientology, they use Crowley and Anton LaVey, some of their stuff as well.
but he says level 28 was the last one, and it was basically satanic. That's what it was all about, the devil.
Yeah.
So they were going through Scientology, and it's all about brainwashing. It's all about manipulation tactics. It's all about anybody can be brainwashed. If we got a professional in here now, they can do certain techniques.
I think we're all already brainwashed. There's a lot of what you have to remember is we go through the education system, we go through so much conditioning that stops us being independent thinkers. No one knows how to cogitate anymore. No one knows how to think for themselves. It's again like that, the sheep.
It's the right side of the brain. It's free thinking. It's creativity and individuality. But again,
Yeah.
we're always getting told what to do. We can't even fucking go to the toilet in school without asking permission.
This
So
is it. This
you're
is
being programmed then to always ask what to do, you're not being free thinker, to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where the control comes in. Sit at the desk, interviewed a woman who was NHS whistleblower. And she was just saying how backwards
She
it
made
is.
life.
Yeah. Fucking amazing. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? That's what I'm all about. It's not to scare people, just waking up. What is certain things that you're putting into your kids? What is certain things you're putting into you? Like, why are you giving birth on your back? Why are you cutting the umbilical cord? Look
Yes.
into these things.
Exactly.
It's important.
They're off the shelf.
Yeah.
All that.
And I'm not a fucking scientist. I'm not giving you medical advice, because it's not people are bad. They're uneducated because they're believing in the system. They're believing in the NHS. They're believing in the doctors.
This is it.
Wait a minute, you're not well, take these tablets. I don't really give a fuck if you die taking these tablets, because I'm still getting paid. So you need to be careful.
Even your doctors have to sign a thing that basically says they'll do as they're told and they won't deviate from the textbooks they were taught and the standards that they're taught. Like it's everything is a cult in one way or another.
Yeah.
The society that shapes us now is the most satanic, demonic, horrific thing that there is.
But how did you get out of all then? When did you start becoming clear, when you started getting back into magic?
After I had that vision with Jesus, like I was petrified to do magic, so I didn't for a good few months. And I slowly started reading cards again and stuff like that. And I knew I had to do a pentagram, and I had some girl come to me that I'd met while I was a blood nurse, and she had a really serious illness. She was dying, and I could still see this thing, and I could always see them from that point moving forward. Didn't hear them, but I could see them. And she was quite spiritual. Obviously, she's near an end of life. I think you do go a bit spiritual in anyway. And she was like, I know that there's something attached to me. Can you try and help me? And I'd explained everything that I'd gone through. We were messaging on Facebook. And she went, will you see if you can remove it? And I was like, look, I've been shown magic, but I don't know whether I can do that. And we just did it as a spirit at the moment thing. I was like, yeah, come round and we'll have a cup of tea and I'll fucking exercise your demons, queen. And she came round and it worked. And I was like, whoa, what I can fucking do, this is mad. And I remember I was doing a healing on her. And so I can see auric fields. Yours is green at the minute. And I'm doing like a hands-on healing with her, and it picks up this thing in her auric fields. It's what I know now as a cancer marker, so you can see certain illnesses within the auric fields on people before your doctors are likely to pick it up. And I was like, I don't know what I'm seeing. I mean, she passed away before I understood what I'd seen. God love her. But from that moment on, I was like, if I can do this, I will help people. And then I think I started trying to share little bits of my story online. It's always been, I set up a little business doing tarot readings anyway. That's how I sort of started getting back into this side of life. And I started sharing bits of my story on Instagram. I was getting shadow banned. None of my videos would be seen. They'd be deleted. All kinds of stuff. And then it's just snowballed from there. More and more people have sort of heard my story or have come to me for various things and I've told them what I can do and they've wears them out, go to Molly, she'll sort you out. And since then, I've been living on the light side of life.
How's that feel?
I feel lucky. I feel grateful, to be fair. You know, I was never a bad person in the beginning. I've always been a very, very...
Nobody is.
No, they're not. You're right. But, you know, to get into what I got into, I didn't do it out of greed. I didn't do it, I just want loads of money. It was because I wanted to give my kids, a lovely life, and I wanted to support my mum so she, has all the drugs she wants, type of thing. And I think that's the only reason why I managed to, one, null and void the soul contract, because I do think a lot of people go into this knowing what they're getting into. And I didn't quite know. And I think that naivety that I had to me has probably been my saving grace for getting out of it. But it feels good.
But that's why you see all these superstars breaking down. You look at your Elvis, your Michael Jackson. Elvis was a nonce anyway, but you look at Michael Jackson, Elvis, kind of Whitney Houston, Justin Bieber. Like, it's not real. Having an idol is not real. If you look at the word idol anyway, it's not a good thing to idolize someone. So when you kind of, all these people on the casting couch and opening their legs, male and female, by the way, and then what happens is they get to these certain heights and they realise what they've done to get to these heights, their mental health breaks down because they have sold out, they have sold their soul. Protect yourself, no matter what's getting offered. I rejected TV work because I thought, nah. I didn't say, I was going to say I fuck off, but I didn't. I was very polite, not back that rejected their kind of work. And over the last kind of 12 months, mad shit's been happening, but I just wanted to be freelance and interview who I want when I want, because when the big offer comes in, it was a case of, wear this, say this, you can only interview this, and you're talking about the A-listers, you're talking about the biggest celebrities on the planet, and the doors that would have opened. And because of the kind of personality I am, it's not hard for me to meet people, it's not hard for me to build friendships and build rapport with people and build connections. But I thought, nah, I'll stick to what I'm doing. But the last 12 months has been kind of mad, and I think, is that because I rejected their contract?
It will be. You'd always get a knockback. You'd always get some kind of comeback off these people whenever they reach out to you. Every single time. Because at the end of the day, they want you. And you'll do great work for them. And you probably do fantastic interviews for them. But they will want something on you, and they will put you in a position to get something they can blackmail you with. So that once you're in there, you're not getting out. Yeah.
And that's how people don't get out. Look at Diddy. He got already all his charges. And I don't know, listen, if he's having orgies and parties, I'm not asked if people feel like drugs. It's if you're fucking about with kids, if you're drugging people.
That's a different story.
That's bad. You know what I'm saying? If you're having parties, every cunt's enjoying himself, free will.
Yeah, absolutely.
What the fuck?
Absolutely.
It happens nearly every door.
You don't have to be a celeb to be doing that.
I know, you know what I mean? But to be getting away with all these charges, and could he be someone who's been thrown under the bus? I don't think so. I think he is very dark. I think the way
I think when you have that much money, you get a bit bored because you can do anything you want.
too much power. I interviewed a man as well. He was a male escort back in the day, but he was doing it a male escort.
Right.
But he was doing it to a level. He used to just go and massage this old woman at this castle. And he says, "Oh, my friends would like it," but then all of a sudden they get far in, and then what happens is there was like masquerade balls. They all had the masks on. They were going into different rooms.
That one in France was.
And there were like 100 of them in a room, fit maybe a bit far fetched, but 50, and they're all just fucking each other. It was dark. And he says that's what it was like. But then what happens is they just kind of burned him out once he got a bit older. Boom, done. They just kind of used him.
Well, yeah. And they're no used to them then after the mental fucking dead.
But he says these old women in their 60s and 70s all still look great, looked after themselves, but it was all about power. The women just manipulated and controlled just as much as the men.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. Everything's power though. Everyone wants power over someone. Even fucking elder people walking down the street there. That's what we're designed. It's what we're conditioned to believe is to be all and end all. How much money you've got, how much power you've got, what are you doing with it? This whole fucking society, keeping up with the Joneses, buy the latest shit, do this, do that. It's all a way to keep us focused on things that we shouldn't really be focused on. They can do what they want with their subliminal messaging, the propaganda, the fucking weird messages they're sending out to people. Like even now you see them, 1 in 2 people are going to get cancer, no they're not. They're going to if you start making them fucking believe it. And we're all indoctrinated. It's all.
If a doctor tells you you've got cancer, do you know your immune system drops 70% instantly just with those words alone?
Absolutely.
So like you say, if you keep hearing that, you're going to keep eventually repeating it. But then again, I don't know if all the vaccines and all the shit that they put in water and foods, maybe that is their plan to just half the population. But the way things are going, it is scary. How many levels do you think there was to this cult that you joined? Do you believe there's many?
Only about 4.
Think so?
Yeah, maximum. But again, I think where I was, obviously that's where they're initiating people in, bringing people in. But I think when you get to like, say a level above me, I think that's where they're trafficking people, kids and women, across wherever. They're using them tunnels as well. This is why all these people go missing in the middle of cities. There's no CCTV, despite the fact there's a camera on every fucking corner, but we never see these people. They disappear without a trace and they're gone forever because they're taking them underground and trafficking them that way.
I interviewed a copper in New York, and he says the biggest nights where people go missing is Halloween and New Year's Eve.
Really? When everyone's out and about doing what they want to do.
He says that's when they come out. Halloween and New Year's Eve. That's when people go missing, never to be seen again. That's the 2 hot spots for trafficking and people disappearing. Fucked up.
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the numerology, the day would be a 4. It's a day. I'll look into that.
Yeah.
See what
that's what it says. I'll send you the podcast.
Yeah.
Mike, he was in NYPD, and he was just saying, I says, what kind of, because he was interviewing a biker. And there was a young kid who went missing from New York, and the biker says it's me who was involved in the disappearance. And he was speaking to this man, but when this man walked in, there was like a cold presence, there was like a cold energy.
Yeah.
And he obviously got to know this man. It's fucking a weird story.
So he walked in and says, I've done this?
Yes, he wanted to speak to someone because he was exposing the church. Because the biker ended up turning to God or whatever. And he says they were in this church and they took this young boy off the streets, Halloween. And it's one of the biggest, like a kind of Madeleine McCann, but set in America.
Yeah.
And that's what it says. The hotspots were Halloween and New Year's Eve, where they just took people off the streets and never to be seen again.
So I think it's a lot worse over in America. That fucking country scares me.
Yeah.
It really does. I think it's a lot worse than here.
But there's underground tunnels in London
There's
as well.
everybody here.
Yeah.
Literally here under the Adelphi, you can get from one half of the city to the other side. And there's things that we're not going to know about, let's be honest.
So who do you think operates the world?
I don't think they're human. I think they're working with forces. So a lot of people will say, oh, the Jews run everything. Or Zionists, let's not be anti-Semitic. The Zionists. There's something that they're worshipping. There's something that they're working with in order to have power here on earth. Because really, whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever, there's got to be a balance. Light doesn't exist without dark. Evil doesn't exist without good. And there's got to be some kind of thing that's giving them that power. So it can't be human. So it's either an aliens, probably across the reptilians, and that's probably why we see a lot of reptilian people high up in your royal family, not even your politicians. I think they're quite low down, really. I think as you get higher, it's people that you don't know at all.
Yeah, they're behind the smoke screen. But if you look at Bezos, you look at Zuckerberg, if you look at Elon Musk, they've got alien tendencies.
Yeah,
They all
they're
look similar.
fucking mad.
You know?
No, it's actually, like,
I don't know if there's transcripts. I don't know if we're in a simulator or some sort of game. It doesn't feel real to me. It's just, I don't know if
so
you
you
kind
know
of...
astrology proves that we're in a simulation.
No, it's like, I know people might sound it's weird, but we don't ask enough questions of how the fuck are we here?
Yeah.
We've not just came here for a big bang, Adam and Eve. Like, who
That's
the fuck,
it.
who
We
the
haven't
fuck
got-
raised that baby? Who's fed that baby? Like,
Yeah.
if you come here with one baby, then how's it going to survive? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
How's the
Without
brain
being
function,
inbred.
the central nervous system? Like, there's something not quite right.
No.
They say when you die, the brain's still active for 7 minutes and it replays your life. I don't know if it's replaying your life to see if you've done good or bad on this planet. There's a book I always mention called Many Lives, Many Masters. They talk about if you don't sort your shit out in this life, you come back again, and plus to add another problem on.
Yeah.
So if you've got 4 or 5 fucking problems and you don't sort them out,
I
you're
must
coming
have done
back
sort of
again.
shit in my past
You're
life.
coming back again. Whether this is just a test run, a lot of religions believe this is hell as well.
It wouldn't surprise me. More so because when you look into numerology, so we have different dimensions, don't we? The Bible says it, even the Quran says it, seven levels. The second dimension is what I would call a demonic realm. So when I exorcise demons or other kinds of entities, I'll send them below there. But where we are in the third dimension, if you look into numerology, 3 is the number of the criminal, it's the number of trouble. So I would say that as well. I think we're on hell now. And I think we just got, I think the Bible was written to confuse us, to believe that there's some other kinds of purgatory we go to in order to be able to control us, do what we're doing here, harvest our energy and bank loads of money off us. Because people go, well, why would they do that to the populations? They need us. They need the money in order to continue with this weird fucking shit that they've got going on. They've got to keep sacrificing certain things, whether it's people, life force, energy, whatever, in order to keep drawing down this power from whatever they're working with. So the fact of the matter is, it's not about like, why would they do it? It's, we're just fodder, we're just food for them to use for what they need to get the power, the money.
See, same as with I think there's just been scriptures. Somebody, I don't know how long the universe has been here. It could be here for 300 years, 400 years. I genuinely don't know. I'm only on it for 41 years, so how the fuck am I going to know? But obviously you can speak to your mum, your grandparents and get the information, how long they've been here, what was life like then. But you don't really know how long it's actually been here. They say billions of years. That's a long time.
Absolutely.
There must be transcripts. You see videos as well where they say people are time travelling. Again, I don't know.
I don't believe in that
Yeah,
shit.
possibly. Listen, it might not be, but he think it was a Mike Tyson fight and he's seen someone that looked as if it had an iPhone. Like, I genuinely don't know. Astral travel as well, people say they can do.
I believe in that, yeah.
So there's got to be an element of something. And even when they talk about Jesus, a lot of people said that he was a spiritual teacher and that's why they killed him, same as the witches. Like, they're all spiritual teachers where they just understood life and seen life different because they didn't follow the rules. They killed him off. A bit like now, the people who speak out against that, they end up getting fucking suicided or fucking poisoned.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's all just frames, isn't it? But I think as well, if you look at history, there was a lot of shit that went on that we've got proof and evidence of long before Jesus and stuff like that. And I just think it's fake. It's all the timeline's fake. I don't even believe in time. I don't think time is concept.
But they say it's 13 months of the year and not 12.
Well, that's it. They changed it, didn't they? They swapped it to fit in with some other kinds of ritualistic stuff. So the Gregorian calendar or something like that, where we've got 28 days. And like, none of it makes sense. But to them, there'll be a purpose. There'll be a plan to it. There'll be a reason. But I think it's to age us as well. There's certain people who don't believe in time, who don't celebrate birthdays. I have stopped doing it. I won't celebrate a birthday now. I'll have party, but I won't celebrate the age. And they look younger than the people who go, oh yeah, I'm 40 this year, or I'm 50 this year. And they seem to age because I think they're manifesting it.
Well, same as Christmas. Christmas is demonic. When you actually look at it and down that look and the big fat man with the red suit. And because there's a photo of me and my daughter. And the guy was saying, oh, come sit in my lap. My daughter must have been about 5. I don't fuck that.
No, she'll sit on my foot.
And you see him kneeling down and she was sitting in my knee. Like, Because in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't know you. And that's before I started researching and understanding people. That could be anybody. And I'm not slating every Santa as a nonce, but if you are a nonce, why would you,
loads of kids sat on a
why
snake?
would you want to be there, sit and listen to fucking screaming kids every day,
Yeah.
to have them sit in your knee, fat, fucking greasy. And like I say, no, I'm not shooting every Santa, and I still do love Christmas, even though I do understand it.
The values behind what it's supposed to be is great, but it's never been about that. It's been about what can you buy, what can you do, who's got the latest shit. Everyone's so fucking stressed they're at each other's throats. And it's not really, no one settles down till after Christmas. Once Boxing Day comes, everyone goes, oh,
Yeah,
can all
but
be
once
normal
you're
now.
2 stone overweight and 10 grand in debt, like everybody just
Well, yeah.
live beyond their means. But it is a good family time, and I do love it because you're conditioned and programmed through the years. But everything's been a lie to fairies, fucking Easter bunnies, Santa, and then you're getting told it's all lies. So you're always getting lied to, and it's not a bad thing. I understand parents are trying to do good, but when you actually break it all down, it's like constant big lies that are breaking your kids' hearts.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I agree. And I think as well, it's just the way that they indoctrinate them as well. I think,
Yeah,
again,
normalise that. Yeah.
this fucking elf on the shelf, I think we're breeding paranoid schizophrenic kids with that. There's an elf on the shelf telling a fucking strange man what you're doing. Is anyone looking at like the thought process behind that for a kid though? I'm being spied on, and they're going to tell a strange man, and they're going to bring me coal, or they're not going to bring me anything at all. What's that doing to a little kid's mind?
It's the
Having
same
those
as Disney.
thoughts.
You look at all the Disney programs.
There's sex everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
It's demonic. And
It
Walt
is,
Disney,
isn't it?
Walt Disney, they say, was a 33rd degree Mason.
Yeah.
But everything in Disney was all kids being raised by single parents, grandparents,
These destroy the
wicked
whole
uncles,
concept of family.
aunties. Yeah, and people buy into it. And I think by the time kids before the age of 5, they've seen 10,000 murders.
Yeah.
Because all the deaths that are in these cartoons. Why the fuck are we showing
it.
kids death?
This is it. But what's funny as well, I remember two of my boys are autistic. I mean, the bright as a button, do you know what I mean? The verbal and stuff like that. But my middle child was like, I want to kill you all. I want to kill myself, and I want to kill you all. I remember being on the phone to the mental health crisis team and all today, and she went, so does he play Mario? And I went, like games? She went, yeah. And I was like, well, yeah. She went, character's eyes, doesn't it? And then it comes back to life. It'll just be that. And I thought, oh, fucking hell, yeah. But what's that teaching our kids as well? They don't understand it.
Yeah, they're normalising it. Let's talk about the witch stuff.
Which bit?
Any
There's
bit.
a lot that incorporates it. So obviously exorcisms and removing demons from people's souls.
But I know people who do that, but they don't class themselves as a witch.
No, maybe not. They class it. It's usually like priests, religious people. Some mediums say they can do it. But I suppose I'm probably people's last resort. So they'll go and see priests, they'll go to a church, or they'll go and see mediums who can talk to the dead, and then they'll come to me.
Is that your real hair?
It's not the length, but the colour, yeah.
Because that's, but like the fitness of it, like you visualise a witch or see, you think the fucking thick hair, like the fucking hair must get thicker when you become a witch.
Well, no, there's all the fucking extensions. I can't grow me hair. I've got Aquarius in me chart, so people who've got Aquarius placement struggle to grow hair, so it's all extensions.
I'm
but-
Aquarius.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I used to have a good head of hair now, it's just fucking thinning and wee baldy bit at the back.
very early. We go grey early and we lose our hair early.
Is, right, so witch stuff, like how did you always have fascinations from that with your mum?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's what got me into it. That's what got me started. But I used to notice as well. So she got this bottle of holy water from fucking Glastonbury somewhere. I'm gonna drink
Why
it. I feel
Glastonbury?
better. I don't know. I think it's a hub. A lot of people, because there's Stonehenge down there, there's ley lines underneath it. Everyone just goes, "Oh, it's the spiritual capital." I think it's bollocks. The energy there is horrific. Not Glastonbury Festival, even just the place itself is. I think it's just being infiltrated. I don't think there's much behind it. It's just a normal place. It's no different than here, really. But yeah, I drink this holy water and I'm like, oh, I feel that normal and I feel that good. And again, being introduced to spells and stuff like that, I used to struggle really because I wouldn't believe in it. I'm one of them people. I'm not very confident in myself. Well, it weren't at the time, or confident in my abilities to do things neither. But I think you live and you learn as you go along and you're doing things and it's that and the other. You know, I can do spells for people that'll work like that. Everything will come true. Even the insights that I get, but doing it for myself is very different. Because again, that's one thing that I struggle with. I can do a bit of hands-on healing with myself, but that's it. I can read my cards vaguely, but it's all because I don't quite believe that all these lovely things could happen to me. Does that make sense?
Did you sleep with your cards under your pillow?
No, why?
I don't know. They say sometimes when you get like tarot cards, sleep them under your pillow and you grow a bigger connection.
No. I mean, I think it's more because when you're using your intuition, you know, some people will look at a picture on a tarot card and go, that's the meaning, and they'll go to the book and use the book meaning. But when you're actually reading, you're creating a story through the pictures. And, you know, the meanings for that card isn't going to be the meaning that your intuition's telling you. So it's developing that sort of insight to be able to understand them. But again, if you look at, so like, I knew me dad, I'd never known him, never spoke to him since I was about 3 months old. I knew he was going to leave me an inheritance. And the cards kept showing it to me, and I'm thinking, who's going to leave me that? Like, I don't know anyone. I've got no family. All my family are fucking bagheads anyway. No one's got any money. And lo and behold, I get a letter, solicitors looking for me because he's left me an inheritance. But there's that disbelief, there's that disconnect when it comes to yourself. It's very easy to read for someone else and go, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. You need to take this advice because it's not you. There's no personal connection with it.
And what about the exorcism stuff? Like, how dark and how true is it all?
How dark is it? It's not as bad as people think. It's not like the films. It's not. These demonic entities in particular will influence. They'll ruin your mental health. They'll ruin your physical health as well and make you sick the longer you have them. They give you intrusive thoughts. They make you hear things, see things. But the most negative symptom of them is the mental health. You start losing your grip on reality and you start being controlled and you go under possession and you ruin your life. That's what it does. It controls you to ruin your life and keep you negative because it can't feed off good emotions. It's got to feed off your negative vibration to make itself powerful to stay here in this dimension. But people will come to me and it's a pretty easy process. You know, I'll go random, I'll burn some herbs, I say a Latin chant, place the finger over the third eye and take their hand as it starts to detach. I mean, I've got injuries, I've got scars, you know, when I go into house clearings, when there's poltergeists or other kinds of spirits in people's houses and they're aggressive, they will throw things at you, they'll injure you. God, I had one of my clients put in hospital, she was thrown out of a loft. And she's a nurse, she's a professional, you know what I mean? And she was like, yeah, that was a ghost. But I think if you know how to do it right, you're not at any risk. And to be fair, when I first started doing, I was a bit like, oh, I'm going to come across as a demonic that probably knows me and it's going to go for me. And they did. You know, I've got scars on my feet, my arms, my hands, but it's part and parcel of it. And after a while, you get used to the fact that I don't think I've got any power over them. I'm just a vessel for a higher power to work through me. I don't see it as my personal power. But after a while, you do notice that they will subdue and go without much of a fight. It's when you start showing fear that they start going to attack you and stuff like that.
What do you think life is?
A lesson. It's all a lesson. We're all just here to learn. But I don't know. I don't know what life is. I know there is an afterlife. Russia have proved that anyway. They've tracked the frequency from someone when they were dead to another dimension, somewhere in another galaxy or something. There's definitely life after death. And I do think we do reincarnate multiple times. There's something you can look into with numerology. Someone said, and it struck a chord with me, that, you know, if you're on a number one life path, you've done a whole cycle, basically. And you're starting fresh on a next set of adventures. When you get to 33, you've finished your cycle. And you don't reincarnate again, and you've learned all that you can from the earth plane so that you can then help humanity. But what's the purpose in it all? I don't know. I won't know till I get there and I say, what the fuck did you send me down there for?
What's the purpose of sacrificing people? Like, what do they believe when you sacrifice kids or you sacrifice other humans? Like, what do they believe?
I think it's so there's no coming back from it. Once you do something like that and you do that with your own hands, you can't just come out and go, yes, I've killed a kid or I've sacrificed a person, but I'm not a bad person, please forgive me. No one's going to do that, are they? And I think they get into the most darkest, evilest type of activities. One, to fuck your mind up if you're just a normal human being like me and you. But two, it's again, so they've got something on you. But on top of that as well, they do need the adrenochrome. So they're sacrificing people for that. And to be fair, when I first heard the theory, I thought, no, that's bullshit. People are getting really fucking imaginative with these conspiracy theories. But it wasn't until I had that experience with my own blood that I thought, that makes total fucking sense. It really does. But as well, by sacrificing things to the devil, I don't think religion would say their soul will then go to hell and be stuck trapped with the devil. I don't think it is. I think it goes to the light. I don't think hell or any evil demonics or other kinds of higher power have any ability to take people's souls like that unless it's willingly given.
See, I think hell's just evil, and I just think good is positive. It's just a positive and negative energy.
That's
I don't
all
think
it
it's
is.
a guy with horns and down there with the pitchfork. I think it's good and I just think it's good and bad. I think you choose in life, do you want to be on the dark side or the light side? But I think you've got to go through some dark to get to the light as well. So all
100%.
it's the yin and the yang. They say it's every 7 years. There's a different process of the good and the bad. But it's a tricky one. Life. It's especially with the people I interview, and it doesn't make you paranoid, but it makes you more aware of what the fuck is going on. You know,
You see the worst of the worst.
Are you concerned for your life or anything if you're speaking out against these people?
You know, I've been in nervous wreck the past 3 days. I ain't going to do this. I was going to message him, and then I thought, nah, see, he'll be coming from Scotland or London or somewhere sitting, and I thought, I can't fucking do that. I was checking my cards constantly, like, am I going to die? Are they going to get me? But I've been so on edge, really over it. Do I think I'm at risk? Yeah, I am. People keep saying to me, oh, you must be safe to share your story. And I'm like, I don't think I am. And even with that warning that I showed you, the way they've worded that is, you better be careful what you say, because if it becomes too believable, you're fucked.
The bigger you are, and I think the more you can influence people, I think then you become a target.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and that's why these superstars and big names, Michael Jackson's, I don't know Michael Jackson, whether he was a nonce or not, I don't know. I do find it creepy that he had kids in his room. Like, that's not normal. But then again, I also think on the other side, he was like a child himself. He kind of missed his childhood. I think he had a lot of trauma with his dad.
That's it.
And I think he felt safer around kids and animals. But it's fucking weird, like, sharing his room. But his room is different from everybody else's room. I'm not excusing it, but there's an element of these people being sick as well.
Yeah.
And I don't have all the information, but he says he was going to expose, because I think he owned half of Sony, and he was going to expose the producers of Sony, what they'd done, and end up killing them off.
And I think sometimes as well, once they stop earning money, they're worth more dead than they are alive, because then they start the greatest hits albums and the books and fucking documentaries about them, and they make the money that way. I think that's what that 27 Club is as well. I think certain artists get into it, they can't maintain it, they have a breakdown, so they often because they know too much. And I just think it's a coincidence that it's when everyone's 27. But I think that's for usually your child stars who've gone through all the organisations, your schools of music and stuff like that. They get all the way through and they can't cope with it.
Yeah, look, Britney Spears.
Amy Winehouse, they're all the fucking same. They're all the same.
Amy Winehouse was brilliant, man. She was amazing.
Yeah, she was.
So what do you think, looking back in your life so far? Does it scare you with the ups and the downs and the mental health and what you've been through?
No, I think it empowers me, really. I have been in some dark corners. You know, I could have off myself and had the easy way out. I really felt like that a few times. I even felt like that after I come back onto a path of light, because when you do that, everything that you've then worked for, everything that you've had attachments to, you lose and you end up at rock bottom, and you've got to like build yourself up again. And there was times where I was like, if I just get through the next 18 years, wait till my daughter's grown up, she'll be an adult, she can look after herself, and then I can go. And I was living like that for a while, like bargaining with myself to get myself to a point. But I think, given what I've been through, given what I've done, and still managed to pull it back and get out alive, it just empowers me. It just keeps me going, because I'm like, all right, I'm smashing my goals. I've made a life for myself. My kids are happy. They've got a solid foundation. But again, as well, I don't think I would ever have been able to get to the point where I am now without going through that. I would not be able to help people the way that I do now without going through that and understanding it and how all the other bits and bobs work. You know what I mean? But I'm proud. I am proud of myself. I shouldn't be here. I should be an addict like my mum or the rest of my family. I should be, you know, with no education. Shouldn't be driving a nice car. But I am.
Did you ever try and take your own life?
No. None. I like to think I did by doing destructive behaviours. You know, there was a time when I really liked painkillers, and I was like, if I just take another two, I probably won't wake up. But I'd always stop myself. It's being a parent, that is a selfish thing to do. And I get it, there's some people that can't cope, and there is some people that see there's no way out. But to me, I'd rather suffer than make them suffer. It's different when they're an adult, but to do that when the kids, I couldn't bring myself to. But that's not to say I didn't destruct my life in other ways. I've got a teardrop tattoo because I've killed parts of myself many, many times over the years. And it symbolises that constant transformation and growth.
What was it like hearing voices?
Still heard them now, James.
Yeah, no, but obviously more controlled, you know.
Yeah, not always,
No.
Not always. Sometimes things come in and I'm not asking for it. It just happens. I can be driving. In fact, I drove down my nan's street. I was going to the farm to see my pony and I was like, your nan's dead. And she was. That sort of thing. But it's scary. I don't know. I think the angelic voices, I'm so used to it because I've heard it since day dot. And they've kept me safe over the years and it's never been wrong. So it's not scary and it's not weird. It's normal. But here in the demonic realm, them screams and even just this demonic talking to me, don't get me wrong, at times it'd be dead funny. They're very, very conscious beings. They can crack jokes. They used to make jokes about my mum all the time and it'd be funny and I'd be sat there going, and I'd be like, sure, right? And I'd be like, people must be laughing. I'd be like, what the fuck? But that was scary. That was a scary bit. But even then you get used to it and it does become normality. But it's fucking boss being able to tap in, like.
Yeah, but I believe women always say this shit, but women are the source of the universe. The world revolves around women.
It's because we're real
like
bad.
the higher powers and the energy fields. It's women who manipulate it. Like if you've got a partner, how that energy is in that house is from the women.
Yeah.
Who wakes up? She wakes up in the morning in a good mood. Everybody's in a good mood. Like women have that power to have that energy. My mum's got it as well. She's fucking nuts, but she knows, she sees things and she hears things when people are going to pass, and she gets it instantly. And I think, fuck, there she goes again, the Grim Reaper. But it's I think all women have that. They all have that source. I just don't think they tap into it enough to understand it. And like I say, I believe everything's energy. I believe everything's frequency.
It is.
The world is still a great place. There's so much beauty here. Even driving down here, I was saying to Steph, it's beautiful, For anybody watching that's maybe in a life of struggle, or it's maybe fucking thinking, I feel like that, I'm losing my mind, I feel like a nutcase and I can't speak out, because it's understandable. Listen, you've got those thoughts and you're going to speak to your friend or your neighbour, they'll be thinking, you're off to the loony bin.
The amount of people that have gone to a church or a priest and have ended up being sections and then, spend their years as an inpatient before they finally get out and come to me, it's too common. Far too common. And they do look at you like you're absolutely round a bend. But if you are going through that, there are real people out there that will help you. You've just got to read between the lines a little bit. Message me.
What's all your social media links for people to get involved, or maybe drop you a message and ask for advice?
So it's just The Witch Assist on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. The Witch Assist.
How are you feeling today?
Good. I'm glad it's over. I'm not going to lie. Because I can relax now. Like, the thing is, I've said what I'm gonna say. Yeah. I've tried not to be specific. I've not named any names, so hopefully I haven't rubbed them up the wrong way and put myself in the firing line. But at the end of the day, am I going to skip out of here? Yeah. And when the sun goes down later and I'm on my own, I'll be like that with my big dog going on, if anyone comes through.
You'll be fine. I think a lot of people now understand this kind of life, and I think a lot of people now are gravitating. I think if you spoke about it, people were speaking about it 5 years ago, 20 years ago.
But not on the levels it is now.
Now I think more people are coming forward and speaking about this sort of sorcery, and
it's so well known.
Yeah, kind of cults who, well, you look at, who was American when they had the women killing for them.
I know who you're on about.
Charlie Manson, but he says, the guy I interviewed with Scientology says I had a bit of that kind of hypnotised, where he can hypnotise people and people just gravitating towards it. But like I say, you've overcome your darkness.
I have.
Hopefully now you're just going for the light and changing lives and
that's it.
Being better. Would you like to finish up on anything else?
Just listen with an open mind, because it's always until it happens to you. I'm not talking cults, I'm talking supernatural experience. If it's never happened to you, you'll know someone that has, or give it time and you'll experience it yourself.
Do you think a lot of people see things, but they just think, I know, what was that?
Yeah, so many. I get
normal life.
Many messages day by day. What does this mean? I've seen a shadow out the corner of my eye, or I've seen a symbol. People have seen God, what I would call a poltergeist, like a ball of energy, pop up in the living room. They took pictures of it and sent them to me and gone, that's just appeared in front of my eyes and disappeared. It's on film. There's the evidence. But they don't understand it. And I think if you just dismiss it, you'll probably get left alone. The more you look into these things, the more you're more likely to have them, the experiences seek you out as well.
Molly, I wish you nothing but the best for the
Thank you.
future. I look forward to seeing what you actually do. But listen, thanks for coming on today. And
Thank
like
you
say,
for having
take
me.
care and God bless.
Take care.